Okay, well, welcome everyone. We've got a small group that is present. I think we will have a lot of people come and go. This is what I would call episode number 2 of our Road to Magic, and it is on in-person sales. And I'm pretty excited because I think last night we had officially went over the 100 mark that have signed up for this. And I know most people aren't going to be here on the day that it's done, and that's okay. I do love that we do have those on because it really helps foster discussion and learning. We learn when we get questions asked. I don't remember what it was last. Oh yeah, I do. And you know what? I didn't follow through with it a couple of weeks ago when we talked about we need to get better at posting photos of our products, of our images on products, and not just posting digital images. Yeah, I still didn't do it. So shame on me. I didn't see anybody else tag me that they did it. So I think we need to get back to that. And so Lori is having issues she is signing in from a different room. So we'll give her a few minutes and I'm going to go over this. But like I said, I'm thankful everybody's here. This will be a good discussion. This is going to be mostly Lori, but I will still be here. Lorraine, I would still love it if you don't mind kind of watching the chat for us. But maybe both of us can do it. And Lorraine, you're muted, just so you know. Both of us can do it because I know both of us are working on trying to hit a deadline today as well. So while we're doing this, I'm going to be tinkering with an image and listening in, and try not to talk over the top of Lori. So I'm going to start with, she's got some very specific notes, my wonderfully educated educator wife. So I'm not even sure how much she wanted me to kind of handle the introduction, and then she's going to take it. Y'all would not believe the extensive notes that she has come up with. That's why I love her, is I don't have to do a whole lot of prepping, even though we did work on this together. So if you saw the blog post in the chat, that's something that you can skim. And so what we want to do is we want to today not only give you the technical aspects of how you do an in-person sales, but the importance of in-person sales. So I might go off script here for just a second because I do believe this is important. But and really, Lori kind of in the first bullet point she has for me is defining IPS, understanding the importance and benefits. I'm gonna twist that a little bit. The blog post covers that, but what I want you to think about is in-person sales isn't some scary moment where you're scared to ask people for money. That's not what it's about. It's about you sitting down as an artist. We're all artists, right? We're just at different levels of the game that we are, right, Lorraine? We talked this morning on the way in. We're at different times and different spaces, and no one starts off as being a perfect artist. And if you're a true artist, you never find perfection. Maybe you'll get lucky and score 100 on an image. I don't know that I've ever had an image score. Yeah, I've had judges give me hundreds, but I don't know that I've ever had an image score a 100. Now, in all fairness, in the last several years, they don't do scores very much anymore at the major competitions. But my point is, as much as we strive for perfection, it's something that is, in my mind, is something that should be almost unattainable. It's that drive that makes us get better and keeps pushing us. What does that have to do with in-person sales? Well, it's just that we all need to consider ourselves artists. We're just at different stages of our own craft and our own art. But I want to give you a little story that I use when I meet with clients and I get on my little soapbox. And I think it's real important that you guys communicate this as well. It's what I do is very important. I feel I create portraits, I create images of people. Photographing portraits is my number one thing. I honestly anymore I don't shoot for fun. I do not. Photography is my job. It's my career. I really don't enjoy just going out and taking photos anymore. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It doesn't mean I don't occasionally do it. We're headed to Wyoming here in a couple of weeks to teach at the Wyoming State Convention. And I'm actually looking forward to maybe taking a day or two while we're on that journey and going through the mountains and photographing some winter scenes. I'm looking forward to being up in the Colorado Rockies. It's just beautiful up there. So I do look forward to that and hopefully capturing some cool images. But people, portraits, that's what I do. Many of y'all know, some of y'all don't, or most of you probably don't. I was adopted 3 times. I've had 2 first names and 3 last names. I basically had a not very good relationship with my biological father. Saw him 4 or 5 times. And my biological mother picked us up from the babysitter when I was 8 years old and took a 10-minute drive to our grandparents, which was my stepdad's parents. And pulling up in the driveway, she said, okay, to my little brother and I, you guys are going to live with someone new from now on. And so that was pretty shocking at 8 years old. I remember that like it was yesterday. And then I was adopted again because my stepdad had adopted me. And so then I was adopted by my stepdad's cousins, and my brother was adopted by my stepdad's sister and her husband. And so my brother and I would see each other once a year or so until we were, high school, and then we just kind of somewhat drifted apart, and we reconnect every now and then. My point for telling you this is I don't have a lot of portraits I don't have a single image of me and my biological father. Got very few with me and my biological mother, even though we have reconnected. The parents that adopted me did a wonderful job, but I only have a handful of pictures of me and even my father that adopted me and raised me. And I don't know, about a year ago, I took a couple of portraits of my mom and I, and those are really precious to me. So it's important for me to capture families. And I communicate this to our families because now that my biological father is gone, my stepfather is gone, I have no portraits of him with me. And my father that adopted me passed away about 30 years ago. I've only got a couple of handful of images of us together. And that's disappointing to me. It's important to note, he didn't like to have his portrait taken because he was overweight. My mom didn't like her picture taken because she wasn't, what society deemed as, this perfect figure that we think. And I remind parents every day, especially during our Santa sessions, and I don't want to always talk about Santa, but it's the big thing that we do. We'll do if you count Santa on the square, we're doing 700 or 800 sessions. And I always almost demand that the parents get in at least one photo. I tell them, look, the kids don't care if your hair is perfect. They don't care if your makeup is perfect. They don't care if you need to lose 5 pounds. They don't care. When you're long gone, they're going to want a picture. They're going to want a portrait with you and them both in it. And I tell them, I have none with me and my biological dad. I have very few with my biological mom, and I have a few with the family that adopted me. So it's important to me to encourage you to be in those photos. And I think that's an important story that you should tell when you're doing in-person sales. That's our job. We are not only artists, but we're historians. It's our job as photographers to capture these families so that they have them for generations later on down the road. So that's an important message that I think you should communicate to your clients when mom doesn't want to get in the photo or dad doesn't or what have you. Tell that story. Okay? So hopefully that inspires you guys to even come up with a program or come up with something to really encourage your family portrait side of your business. Okay, so understanding the importance and benefits of in-person sales as we go down that path. And Elaine, if any questions pop up, feel free to chime in. The importance of in-person sales. In that blog post that I shared in the chat, you will see some of it. But there's a couple of there's really, for me, there's a few main reasons why you want to do that. And it's important to note, you don't have to have a studio to do in-person sales. You don't. There's coffee shops, there's libraries. There's rooms in libraries that you can borrow. So in those scenarios, and we'll talk some more about that, you just create what I call a go bag, right? You're your own little CIA agent, and you come up with something that is very easy for you to carry around that has some of your product samples in it, and you meet somewhere. I love the idea of borrowing a private little room in a public library. That's why public libraries are there, so that you can use them. So check with your public library if you don't have a place to do sales. You can always do it in the customer's home. I can tell you some of our best success stories are when we go out and do sales in a client's home, because we can look at walls and we can show them where they can put things. So in your go bag, you should have, one of the things that you can have is you can cut up some cardboard, just regular cardboard that's 20 by 30, 24 by 36. You have an 8 by 10 with you. And if you have those in your go bag, then when a client says, oh, well, I just want, let's say a 16 by 20, if you have one of those, you have 3 sizes. If you had a 16 by 20, a 20 by 30, and a 24 by 36, you're covered in most cases. Well, if you have a little masking tape with you, you can say, okay, well, here, over there on that wall above the fireplace is where you're looking at putting a wall portrait, and you thought a 16 by 20 would work. Let me go tape this piece of cardboard. It's the size of a 16 by 20 up there, and let's stand over here across the room, and let's see how big that is. And they're going to see that it's pretty small for a 16 by 20. And they're going to go, oh, that is small. So now you bring out, okay, well, let me show you a 24 by 36 over there. See, that's really not too big. You could even go bigger. And if we went with a 30 by 40, you can show them a little bit by just showing your hands. It'd be a little bit wider out to here. Okay, so that's some really good techniques for doing sales. And if you're meeting in that library office or that library conference room that they'll let you use, you can tape those same things to the wall and say, let me show you the 3 different sizes of what they look like on a wall. Okay, so keep some of those things in your mind. If you feel like, oh, well, I can't do in-person sales because I don't have a studio, I don't have a fancy place, you don't need it. Okay. Coffee shops, public libraries, make sure that you arrive early enough. If you're going to do an in-person sales and you have a client coming at 2 o'clock and your only option is a coffee shop, make sure you get there at 1:15 or 1:30. Get your stuff set out, make sure your laptop's working, and you pick a good spot that's isolated where you don't have to talk over people. People aren't kind of rushing up against you, bumping into you, those kind of things. Okay? If you're new to in-person sales, we'll cover some of those things. Just think of it as an opportunity to build a better friendship with your client. So what's the value in that? In that blog post, we talk about it. What you get to do is you're not just helping them pick out how their work is displayed in their home. You're building a relationship and you're learning more about that client, so it makes it easier to suggest future sessions. You'll learn about important dates, you'll learn about their history, and that'll help you brainstorm ideas that you can tailor fit to that client. If you learn that they have horses, right? You didn't even know that, right? Okay, well, maybe they want to do a fun Western theme or whatever. I think you understand where I'm going with that. Use that in-person sales time, that one-on-one time with your client, to learn more about them so that you can tailor fit future sessions and book future sessions with them. You can't do that in an online gallery that you send them and they send you back the ones that they like, right? Okay. Let's see. I'm looking at my notes here. Lori's got some great notes. Lori, if there's something in here that I'm missing, mobile, in-person, virtual to in-person, you can do virtual. Every now and then we have to do virtual. We run into scenarios where someone's come in from out of town and we weren't aware, usually during Santa. They come in for their session on a Saturday at 3 o'clock, and their flight is that evening or the next morning. When that happens, we usually try to do everything we can to adjust our schedule, let them go get something to eat, and say, hey, well, if we have space where we can fit them in, if Lori's not already in a session, hey, come back in an hour and we'll have your images ready, because we really want them to do it. If they just have to do it maybe they have dinner plans with family while they're in town and they cannot do it at the end of the session, then we say, okay, well, look, just take an extra 10 minutes and Lori's going to go into the sales room and show you some of the products so that you'll have an idea once we do this virtually of what they look like, what they feel like, that kind of thing. So you're always going to want to have them touch products. Okay, so if you know going into a session that you're not going to be able to meet with them in person, make sure you have your go bag with you. And as things wrap up, you just say, if Lorraine's my client, I say, hey, Lorraine, I know we're going to talk next week over the phone, and we're going to do a Zoom to go over and pick the images that you would like to have us edit and order. I just want to show you a couple of key things that my clients absolutely love, because it's hard to show you those things when we're not together. And so you would show them an album. You would show them the double-sided prints. You would let them touch these things. That's really, really important. So that then when they're meeting and you discuss them, they can flash back on what those products felt like. Okay. Overcoming challenges, that's always tough. We provide incentives. We talked about that last meeting. We have incentives in our pricing where they get extra discounts to complete their order today. And a lot of people are going to say, oh, I hate saying that because I sound like a used car salesman. Oh, look, you get this 25% discount if you complete your order today. But if you don't, I'm not going to give it to you. Okay, so the way that you overcome that feeling is you tell them, okay, as we talked about last time, you get a 15% discount because you bought in these categories, and you get an extra 10% discount if we finalize your order today. And why do we offer that? We offer that so that because it saves me time and money not to have to redo this or go over this again. So I can extend to you a discount because we don't have to do a follow-up meeting to finalize everything. Okay? Great. Okay? The last note here that Lori has is adaptability is key. Absolutely. Not every single sales session is going to go the same way. Not every client's the same. Your mood isn't going to be the same every day. But I think once you do this a few times, and if you put some of these strategies in place that we have, you'll see that it's going to get a lot easier for you. Just remember, it's not about being scared of your pricing. You shouldn't be scared of your price if you've earned the right. We talked about that. If you've earned the right to ask them for money, you've created quality images, you've invested in products that you can let them touch and feel and show, right? You scheduled personal time, or you scheduled time to meet them somewhere. Okay? That's your job. It doesn't mean every session is going to go perfect. You're going to have bad sales sessions. You're going to have clients that are jerks. You're going to have clients that say, oh, well, I have no idea it was this much. I blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, I'm sorry. But when you scheduled the session and I sent you the email, it did have our pricing in there. And I think you should include a link, just like we do. When someone books a session, we do a thank you for booking. This is a reminder, and in there is a link to our pricing guide. Right? So if they get sticker shock, it's because of something they did, not something that you did. You just run, oh, I'm sorry. Did you not get a chance to look at the pricing because that was in the email that I had sent to you? Right? So, and I think it's important to understand that a lot of times people just don't have the money. They don't have $200 or $300. They came in and they had every expectation of spending $1,000 on a wall portrait that day. But maybe what you don't realize is 15 minutes before they walked in, they got bad news, and they had a water heater go out in their house, and now they've got to spend $1,000 to get that fixed. Or something happened, and they had an unexpected bill arrive. So now maybe it's changed their ability to even make a purchase right then. And those things they may not want to tell you about. Okay? Your job is to have a great system, a great process that time and time again, it will work fine. But we learn from our failures, right? Okay, any questions? Lori, you there? No, you're muted. Unmute yourself. Yeah, we can hear me. Yep. So I'm going to mute myself. You sound, Lori, go. I'm going to mute myself, and Lori, you talk, and I'll see how you sound.
The camera here is terrible. But, oh well. It's not ugly looking. Can't get the one off my computer, other computer, so
can't
Figure it out.
understand you at all,
Lori, we can't understand a single word you're saying.
Good. Okay, let me tell you about.
All right, bear with us, folks, here. Well, that computer normally works. Is it, Lori, is it you think it's your headphones?
Are you there?
Yeah, oh, that's much better.
That was the headphones, and I can't get these new ones to work in here, so.
Oh, yeah, those new ones, it's weird. They don't like to connect very well.
They connect great to my other computer, but
yeah,
they don't like it here.
Okay, I'm going to mute myself.
And this camera in here is really, like, funny looking. But, oh well. Not much we can do about that.
Yep. Okay, so Lori's gonna go over a lot of things. The only one thing I will add, Lori, put yours on mute for just a second. I'm getting a little feedback.
Oh, okay, hold on.
It's just for a second. The only thing that I do want to add is when your session, even when we're doing it in studio, we have a lot of things out in public that people can view. Even when we're kind of previewing our in-person sales, even when the client's here. So in our little sitting area, Lorraine, you've been in our studio, you've seen it. We'll have an album sitting there. We'll have wall portraits behind them. We have things that they can see. So if you do have a studio, it's important that you have some of those items, not just in your sales room, but you have them out on display where they may, because a lot of times when we're doing a session, Lori's in a sales, doing a sales session during Santa season, and so they can't go in and look around, right? So we'll have some of those items out on display. So if you have that option, make sure to do that, right? Rob Teague, are you there? Let me see if Rob Brown, I always call you, I don't know why I call you Teague. I always say something about your T-Rage. I think I always see it, Rob T-Rage, and Teague comes to mind. Are you there, Rob? Unmute yourself if you are, because I've got a specific question for you. I see you unmuted yourself, but I can't hear you. Use your outside voice, Rob. Well, if you can get your microphone working, at some point I want you to chime in, because Rob, you do a lot of, and Rob and I have been talking this week, because we don't do a lot of volume sales, and Rob does, so I quizzed him. That's what I love about teaching, is you get to build these relationships. So we've got we're shooting 7 basketball teams next week, or not next week, but the week after. And we're going to have to order samples so when we're photographing them, Lori's going to be doing the sales right there live during the sessions. And there'll be little quick mini sales sessions, but we want to make sure that we have all the products that we offer, the ones that aren't necessarily, that they don't know about. So we'll have some prints and some different items physically there. We'll have a banner.
Chris, I'm here.
Okay, perfect. So what I'm saying is, even in volume sales where you're shooting on site and clients are placing their orders right there, Rob, tell me if you do this. I'm putting you on the spot. Maybe you don't, but I feel like it's even important to have samples of what clients are going to get, even in a scenario where you're shooting and then your staff is only going to be interacting with them for 4 or 5 minutes to pick the image, finalize the order, boom, be done, move on to the next person. It's 2 or 3 minutes. I think it's important to have those. Rob, do you have products when you're doing your live sales?
Yeah. Yes. I have sampled everywhere that I sell, whether it's a volume setting or, like you're saying, in the studio as well. I always have samples out. For volume, with the template that we're actually going to put their child pictures in, so that they know, okay, it's going to be this, the color's going to be different, but they're going to see, what the final product's going to look like.
Have you been in a scenario, Rob, where you've done a shoot where you didn't have samples and can share maybe how different the sales were, or how much easier it is to get sales when you have those samples and everything?
Yes, like you say, learn from our failures. When I first started, I didn't know what I didn't know, and so we didn't have samples. This has been 6 years ago, but we didn't have samples, and our sales were kind of lackluster. People bought pictures, but they didn't really know what they were going to get. So And then over the last 5 years, we've always had samples out. Our sales average have increased even from last year to this year. Our average sales up about $8 per customer on average. So
yeah, and when you're talking an average sale is probably what, $75 on volume business, maybe 80.
Yeah, roughly.
So
Yeah.
A 10% increase is, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay. I had a question, but it slipped my mind. I'll think of it here in a second. So y'all feel free to chime in. I don't know what our giveaway is going to be. I'll figure that out. So we'll do something. So whoever asks the best questions, that kind of thing, we'll give away a couple of things, probably from H&H. I haven't spoken with Intuition, but I need to see if we can do a giveaway every now and then. But anyway, okay. Lori, are you ready to kind of take over? Yep, unmute yourself. And I'm going to mute
Here we
myself.
go.
Okay, I'm going to mute myself, but Lorraine, help me with the chat, and I'll try to pay attention to it as well. Okay,
Gotcha.
yeah, and everyone, don't be afraid to chime in. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to interrupt. Lori's got great notes, and she'll do a better job of staying on task than I do. Okay, have fun.
Yeah, we'll see about that. Okay, so good morning. I'm not usually in this room doing this, so I'm all out of whack. This computer doesn't always like to go on Zoom. It likes to go on my software, likes to go on InView, because that's what I use if I have to do a sales session with someone who's out of town. If I can't get them here in the studio, which is what I prefer, then I use my InView, because there's a Zoom feature built in. So it's a little bit easier to deal with because it's all in one software. So you'll have to excuse me that my picture looks kind of fuzzy, but it is what it is today. So I just wanted to, first of all, I want to let you know that I am going to try to go through everything from the software that we use to the different, well, there's more than one option on software. We've used a couple different ones. I'll show you what we're currently using, what we've used in the past, and then we'll go over some different things about the way I go through the presentation with the clients, things I found that worked, things I found that didn't work. Please ask me questions. I was a teacher in middle school, so I'm used to getting interrupted, and I live with Chris, and he interrupts me all the time. So if you have a question, just let me know, and I'll try to address that. If there's something I missed that you want to bring up, or if you've had an experience of your own, please feel free. I think of this as more of I'm just a facilitator in a lot of things, and we can learn from each other as much as you can just sit here. I don't want to be a talking head on the screen. That's no fun. So,
Lori, and I'm gonna interrupt for just a second. I'm gonna take my headphones off because I can hear you in the other room, and then I hear a delay on my headphones. So,
what do you think I do all the time?
oh yeah, I don't know how you do it.
It's hard hearing twice.
I may have to go home. Yes, so I'm gonna.
My Lord.
So I'll try to watch the screen. So Lori, if you see something, just say it a little louder if you need me. I'm gonna take these off.
Okay, and I'm adjusting my screen here for a second. Give me 1 second. I can't see everything I want to see on my screen. I can't see it on my phone. I'm too old. Okay. That's not the right one. That's not it either. Hang on. Listen. Where did our notes go? Did you delete them? I can see them on my phone. Oh, well, we'll just keep going on the phone. So, first of all, I'm going to put up a little survey for you, or a little poll, because I'm just curious where everybody's coming from, if I can find that on here. Where is that? It was on here yesterday. Let me make that screen bigger, see if it shows it to me. Oh, you know what? I may not be able to see it. Chris, can you see a poll?
What?
Can you see the poll?
No, let me hang on. I'm going to make
mine.
sure. I've changed it so that you could share your screen. I don't know where the poll would show up.
It would be on the bottom of the menu on yours, because you're logged in as the studio and I'm logged in as me.
No, I don't. So it's something I need to share?
Yeah, just hang
polls
on.
and quizzes.
Yeah.
Okay, so Okay, so can y'all see it? Is it there?
Yes.
Okay.
So there's only 3 questions. So those of you that are on here, do me a favor and answer those and then submit them. So the first question is, do you currently use in-person sales with your clients? Okay. The second one is, how comfortable are you with in-person sales? And then, do you currently have a place to do in-person sales? Those are the questions that I would like for you to just submit real quick, because it can show us kind of where everyone is. Gives me a better idea of my audience here. I know we only have a handful of people on here right now, but that's okay. So I don't know on the recording if that will still allow you to get to that or not. That'll be an interesting thing to find out. I like to use those kind of things when I'm teaching because it helps me know who I'm talking to a little bit better. Hang on, my notes disappeared. Chris, is that note still there?
What?
Our note that we were sharing, it's like it disappeared today. Oh, here it is. Not showing up on my computer, only on my phone.
Yeah, that computer may not be synced.
No, this computer is like the redheaded stepchild. It always gets forgotten.
Yeah, just use your phone.
I am. Okay, so first of all, one thing that I think Chris does a really good job of is when he is in the sales room, he's already when he's in the shooting room with the clients, he has already started the sales process. So he is building that relationship, and that is one thing that is key in order to make your sales better. Your clients need to know that you are a human. You're not just a talking salesman. They don't want to feel like they're going to a used car salesman when they come in. So get to know them. You know, and that extends. First of all, it starts at either your consultation or your first contact with them, whether that's an email, whether that's a questionnaire that you send them to learn more about them, whether it's in the shooting room for the first time. Get to know them. Find out what interests them. Not only does that plant seeds for you for other sessions that you can promote to them, but it also helps you be more, if you know that they're a blended family, you know that there's going to be possibly an option to sell to the other part of the family. So just know that it starts there by building that relationship and building trust. Because when they come to me and they're in here with me, they now feel like they're heard, and they already feel like they're seen. So we want them to feel that way when we get here, because that's very important. We need them to feel that connection with us. It helps there's many times that I never meet the client until they walk into my sales room. Some of you, like Chris, for the longest time, did all the shooting. He did all the sales. So he already had a relationship built up with them by the time that he got into the sales room. But when it comes to the way we are now, I may not know them until they walk in here, unless they're a return client. So it helps that he has started the process by kind of letting them know how things happen. And he talks about, sometimes he'll talk about the albums as he's getting to know the parents at the very beginning. So we want them to kind of know that. And we have, like you mentioned, we have products sitting out in our like a little entry area that we have that's right by the sales room, or right by the shooting room. We have some albums laying out. We have portraits on the wall. We want them to know that that's a normal thing. It's not an oddity for somebody to come and buy an album. It's very common. It's very common for people to come and purchase wall portraits. But that also starts in the marketing that you put forth. So you need to, in some of your marketing, make sure you're including some images of pictures on walls of the products, so they can get an idea. If they see, like on our website, let's see if I can go here. And they're not the best pictures, but we are working to improve that. Let's see here. You made it where I can share my screen, right? Well, how do I share that screen?
My video's off, but yes, I do have it set where you can share your
screen. How do I share this other screen? Hold on. Can you see my windows? My Google page?
You're not. It doesn't look like you're sharing your screen, honey.
Okay. Okay, hold on. I'm just trying to see where my stuff is. I only have about 12 screens open right now. It's on this one. Share. Chris, it's not letting me share this. I don't know why. Technical support, come help me.
Hang on. Let me come in there.
Sorry, guys. I am never in here. I'm always doing the one that's in my system. I think it's a preference thing. Let me see if I can fix it real quick.
You go back to your computer.
I don't know. It's just telling me that I'm done.
Just let me. I've never seen any of this here, so I don't know what you're doing. Let me turn this off. Sorry, folks. Bear with us 1 second.
Because I'm using 2 different screens. I could just unplug it. Can we just unplug it?
Yeah, that's fine.
See if that helps.
It's not showing anything.
I know.
You know what? Let's take a break for a second. I'm going to pause the recording, and I'm going to have her switch computers. For some reason, we're getting a weird error. It's probably a compatibility issue with the OS on this computer. So let's just go get set up on your computer in there. All right. So I'm going to pause. Give us 2 minutes. Be right back. Hang on. You're just going to need to sign out. You need to sign out. Okay, I'm back. Let's see. I'm back here. So while she does that, I'm going to hang on. I'm going to pause the recording. Okay, so those that just joined are where we stopped the recording. So we're talking about one of the poll questions that there were a couple of people that were really uncomfortable and would avoid sales if they could. So, and we're chatting with Lynn. So Lynn, you have a studio. You've got multiple studios, which is fantastic. So you're doing something right, or you're doubling down on struggling like a lot of us are in the industry. And I will say the industry is tougher than it has been.
A little bit different this year.
And that's good. We need to go. Honestly, I feel like we need to go through tough times in the industry at times where it's a little harder, because it can get some of those photographers that aren't truly committed to maybe not do as much, and it opens doors for others. So Lynn, do you feel, is it just that it's just not your jam? Meaning you just don't like asking people for money? It's just don't like it? Or do you get anxiety while you're in the sales room?
Maybe both. I have long felt this icky used car salesman feel when I start myself. And where we are right now, we just hired 2 more people. And my hope is one of them is actually going to become the salesperson. The funny part is I would be the last person to train her because I can't do it myself. But and I shouldn't say I can't do it myself. I've been able to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars in the fundraising world. But when it comes to my own studio, I have a tough time with that. And that's got to get fixed, obviously, because we are growing.
Good for you. So, but let me ask you this while Lori's getting everything arranged over there. And this is a good part of the discussion. I love it. I think one of the big things that we fear, and I've got a really talented artist that I work with that I mentor. I do personal mentoring, and we've changed her brand. We had a difficult discussion last year. She's in the Midwest, and her last name had a Spanish name in her last name, and I felt that potentially could hurt her in rural Midwest part of the country, and so we rebranded her studio name. It still is connected to her name, but we went a little bit more eclectic with the styling and that, and it's really helped. She's doing fantastic. But one of the things that she struggles with, and she'll listen to this, and I'm not going to call her out, but what we all struggle with, whether we all want to admit it or not, is what we call imposter syndrome, where
100%.
That doesn't bother you at all.
No, I do struggle with that.
Okay, yeah, and let's be honest, we all do, and because here's the thing is the good and the bad, and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I'm a salesman. That's who I am. I was with Pitney Bowes. I had 42 sales reps. I was one of the top 3 in the country consistently in our product line that we did. I did sales training, the whole thing, and for me, it's about systematic, repeating things, doing the same things, having a plan. But the one thing that I felt always gave me confidence in the sales room was I knew my product offering better than anyone. So even when I was with Pitney Bowes or whatever I was selling in my life, I studied, I did my homework. I used to teach golf lessons. I used to teach racquetball. I was a racquetball pro in the late 80s, and then I was a golf pro in the early 90s. And I studied under Hank Haney. I would go sit and listen for hours. One of his facilities used to be pretty close to here. And Hank had a deal, if you were in the golf business, you could come and sit and listen to him teach. If he was a regular lesson, if he was teaching Tiger or someone on the tour, he went to a different part of the range and you weren't allowed to be there. But you could sit, you couldn't be any closer than like 20 feet, and you were not allowed to ask any questions. You weren't allowed to ask him any questions. You weren't allowed to interact with the student at any time. So even when the lesson was over and the student's just hitting balls, you weren't allowed to walk up and talk to them. So what was pretty amazing with that is you kind of got out of your own way. You really keyed on learning what the instructor was doing. And so that's what I've tried to do, is become an expert in whatever the product is that I'm offering. And who better to be an expert than the person who's creating? So we're creating our own product. What you're selling is your art. You're selling your portraits. So don't think about that you're trying to get somebody to buy a book. Don't think that you're trying to get them to buy a certain type of paper or a certain frame. That's just what your art and your craft is delivered on. And that's what I love about photography, and that's what's kept me passionate about it, is as a salesman, I am selling the product that I have 100% control over and what it looks like. And I believe in my product. I can tell you some of the things that help me believe in my product. Laura, you tell me when you're ready. The things that help me believe in my product are print competition, having successes, getting up there and having images that get recognized in Louisville the last 6 weeks, where one of my images finished in the top 8 of the children's category or the portrait. I don't remember which category it was. Then I had another image that went to the top 16, one of my Santa images. And technically I could argue that I had the best Santa image in the international photographic competition, because no Santa image finished higher than that one. So right or wrong, I can say that in the the Professional Photographers of America International Print Competition, annual competition, the most prestigious competition that we have, I had the best Santa image in it. So it's important that on some level that I humbly believe that. So that gives me the confidence in the sales room to then help people make a decision on what it is and how we want to deliver that work to them. So believing in yourself and believing in your product is so important. So I would challenge you. It's one of the ways to get confidence in your work is entering in print competition. And if you're not winning right now, that's okay. That's good. Maybe you fail. Maybe you enter the next 6 months and you never get an 80. That's okay. What it's going to do, you're going to be learning how to get to that 80. You're going to be learning how to get to that 85. So now when I enter print competition, just my normal client work always merits. Just normal client. I'm not having to go out and spend hours and hours and hours creating an image and for competition just to try to get it to merit. I couldn't say that same thing 3 or 4 years ago. Only the images that were meriting were images that I went above and beyond, because I knew the level they had to be to merit. So that learning curve, learning the print competition, learning the editing, learning what the judges wanted, has elevated my craft and my offering to my clients. So my personal imposter syndrome is much lower today than it was a year ago, 2 years ago. And that's because of my journey through print competition, earning my degrees through PPA. It has really diminished that demon inside me that trust me, it's there. It is there. I've been working on an image. I was working on it yesterday. I've been working on this image for a year and a half, and I'm still not quite to where I feel like, ooh, that's where it needs to go. Does that make sense? Because I'm trying to do something that's outside my comfort zone. But once I figure it out and once I nail it, now my personal confidence level, my personal belief in my product goes up, and it makes it a lot easier in that sales room.
That completely makes sense. I have not entered any print. I have entered regular digital. And I should probably stop using the word print competition, because nobody accepts physical prints. It is a digital competition. Okay.
So Lynn, and I'll let you finish. Are you a member of a local? Where do you live?
I'm in Dallas area.
Okay.
I'm over here in Argyle, over by Flower Mill.
Well, then come by and say hello.
I will.
Yeah, and even when we're doing these meetings, you should be here live, and you can chime in.
We have one on Tuesday.
Yeah. So Lynn, there's a meeting. You should go. Lynn, are you a member in Dallas at DPPA?
Yeah. No, not yet.
Okay. Come with me as my guest to Tuesday. But what I would challenge you is shoot me a message as soon as we're done. I want you to go and here. I want everyone to do this. Okay. I'm going to share my screen. I know we're getting sidetracked, but we're not getting sidetracked. Okay. Because we're talking about print competition and we're talking about this, but what we're doing is we're talking about building the confidence in your product. And I'm going to get to the point. It's your damn product. It is you. You need to put yourself in a position where you are creating your absolute best. Are you the best you? And this is a little self-promotion. Why do I love teaching? Partially it's because I have a beautiful wife that is a great educator, but part of it also is my background from teaching racquetball, teaching golf. I love to teach. I love to inspire. I love to help. That's why we have Magic Makers Academy, and that's why we're doing this. And yes, we're doing this for free. We're doing this because, yes, I want to eventually leave a legacy that we did a good job educating and lifting up other photographers. But also we've made the decision that part of our business and part of our income is based around education. Why wouldn't it be? That's where my wife has her master's degree. So we do this free in hopes that it will encourage some of you to take some of our other classes. So and this is a little self-promotion, but for $299, you're going to get 4 full one-day workshops that we're going to cover how we create the Magic of Santa look. You're going to get to do a fine art portrait. You're going to be there when I create an image that I will enter into Dallas. I'll enter it in IPC. You're going to be there and you're going to participate in it. The other one is Intro to Compositing. Lorraine, I know you signed up and I know you're working on your Master Artist degree. I am going to teach you the steps that I take to create and that I use to get my Master Artist degree. Then I don't remember what the fourth one was, but you've got to invest in yourself. You're not going to get better just by hoping. All right. So that's enough pitch on that. But what I want to show you is I'm going to share my screen. Okay. And then we're going to get back to Lori. Is my screen, it did not share, did it? There we go. So you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. So what I want y'all to do, it won't cost much. I'm going to go right here. Printcompetition.com for those of you that haven't ever done print competition. You can go here and jump here. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump in here for just a quick second, okay? I'm going to go to the Game Day app. I didn't know this was going on. Let's see what print competition is. PPI, this one here. Let's click go and watch what you're going to do. They're loading images right now. I don't know that I can connect to the audio. But look, what you're watching right now is this image is being judged. They can't hear me. Here's audio. So if you get a membership to printcompetition.com, you can go watch judging from people entering. So look, this is images is scoring really, really well, an 86. You've got scores anywhere from an 81 to a 92. What you're going to see is a challenge. If we turn the audio on, now we could hear the judges talk about this image. All right. Why is that important? Let me just see if I can. I'm gonna just jump in here real quick, okay? Oh, no, I can't because it does it through Zoom. But what we would do is we would be able to listen right now to the judges talking about this image, the good and bad, what the maker did right, what the maker did wrong. What are you doing when you're listening to those discussions? You're learning. You're listening to 5 master photographers talk about what makes an image great and what makes an image where it could get improvement. I have listened to hundreds and hundreds of hours of judging and taken those skills and techniques and things that judges have said and applied them to my own images. What does this have to do with in-person sales? It has everything to do with in-person sales because it's making you better. It's taking your widget. Our photos, our work is nothing but a widget. Okay? Are you selling a widget from Walmart that's only worth $5? Or are you selling a widget from Neiman Marcus that's worth $5,500? Right here, honestly, look at these scores. I could argue these scores will tell you if you're a Walmart widget or if you're a Neiman Marcus widget. If I want to be blunt. Okay, so I'm going to go over here to the leaders. Okay, so 87 is the high. And we come down here to a 79. So in those of you that don't know print competition, if it's an 80 or higher, that means it is a merit image. That means I don't remember. Who is anyone in here really involved in print competition?
Merit worthy.
Yeah, so I believe a 75 to 79 means above average. And then there's a category from 80 to 84. It means something else. So it's important to understand if your image scores 75 to 79 in the lingo of print competition for professional photographers, it means it's above average. But they're not rewarding above average images when they get to an 80. What they're saying is you are above the above average. And it has different weighted scales. I'll research that when Lori's talking to get that for you. But what you can see here is what I would argue is if the image is a 79, you're right there on the cusp of maybe you're a Lori. Maybe you're a Nordstrom's. Maybe your product belongs in Nordstrom or a little boutique shop on the town square. If it's an 80 or above, but if it's a 79 to a 75, you're not really Walmart. But you're really not at the skill set where you're producing great work. Now, in all fairness, that's okay. Let's just hypothetically say you don't want to take your work. And if y'all look, see that image ended up scoring an 86, that one we were just looking at. But they're still judging it. So right now we can't hear it, but they're debating this. Someone challenged the image because we have such a wide range of scores. And now the judges are discussing, like, why in the heck did that judge give it an 81? If we could listen, we would hear that judge may see something in this image that there's a technical flaw. Maybe there's some repetitive clone marks. For me, if I'm judging it, I don't see enough detail in the person. If you look at the legs and the feet and whatever technique they use to paint the skin or something, they've lost the detail in their feet and their skin and the texture. While everything else, see all of the texture in the thing that the person is standing on, all of that fine detail, crunchiness is there, but the person looks to be very smudgy and very non-detail in the person, which to me that takes away because the style that they edited the person in versus a style that the rest of the image is in doesn't match. So to me, there needs to be a lot more detail in the person. Then I could take that image up higher, right? So look, you can see, so they challenged, they debated it. and they've scored an image of 93. So this is an image that you would sell. This widget would be in the Neiman Marcus category. The only way that you can move your images from Walmart to Neiman Marcus, to me, is through print competition, getting it judged, making yourself vulnerable. Then that helps you overcome that, what do we call it? Imposter syndrome. Does that help you guys? I hope it does. And I see Rob nodding. Rob, it's also important to understand. Yeah. It's important to understand context here, right? So Rob, I would bet I've not seen a lot of your work, but from a business standpoint, my impression, the little that I know you've got it going on. Pardon my French. I'm gonna talk like Sal. You got this shit figured out. That's where I'm gonna stay from a business standpoint. You're somebody that I would look up to and say, okay, I got to do more like what Rob's doing on that. I've not seen your volume work, but I would bet that your volume work is definitely in the volume context. You can't do what we're looking at on screen in a volume scenario, right? You can't have an average sale of $100 and do this kind of work for every single client. So it's important to make sure we compare apples to apples. But I would bet if the only people entering this were volume photographers and they were doing the type of work that Rob does, that his work would be on that higher side of the scale. And he probably takes pride in making sure the cutouts are good and the templates are good and the backgrounds are good and it's well lit. Oh, look at that. They're still debating it. I could not go to 100. And I bet I would be that 92 because I would have a real problem with they changed it. That shocks me. Because I love this image. It is gorgeous. But if we're getting technical, and if I'm wanting to improve this photographer's work and I'm providing the critique, the editing of the skin and the person does not match the editing of the rest of the image. That would be, I would tell that person they needed to fix that. I just don't, I love whoever created this, and I don't want this to sound a negative critique on this, because this is an amazing image. Change that one, make that texture different. All right. So let's watch one more image. This is a good contrast here, because this image here would probably be, I would probably come and score this right at an 80, somewhere around there.
I put the score meanings in the chat for you.
Oh, okay, good. Okay. So does that help y'all? Lynn, does that help you see maybe where you need to
absolutely
a path you can go down to making your product more valuable?
Absolutely. Here's the funny part. I do already enter the Portrait Masters, and I've already been in the top 20, and I still struggle with myself when it comes to selling myself. So
okay,
I think what it is, you mentioned continuing to enter competitions. I also would like to just come up with a script. And I need to just practice and practice. And
oh, absolutely. Lori follows. Yeah, Lori will talk about that. 100%. When we do our sales session, we do A, we do B, we do C, we do D, we do E, and then we ask for the money. We do the same routine every single time. And I bet if I would challenge you to go to a car dealership and just go through the process and don't buy the car. And then you go to another dealership and you're going to find that those processes are going to be very, very similar. You go to a furniture store, you go to Kroger, right? They'll have a few people out helping. Then the cashier will go through a certain thing. They may ask you is there anything else you want that's sitting right there on the shelves right next to you? Everyone in the professional world is very deliberate in their sales process. And it's very repeatable. Rob, is that fair? I bet if I recorded your people selling to your clients at a session later today, and I did it again next weekend and the next weekend and the next weekend, they're going to be saying the same words, doing the same thing. It's going to be very repetitive.
Yeah, it's repeatable and scalable is what I like to say. And thanks for this, because my goal this year is to actually enter print competition. Like, I've never entered print competition, because before I got into volume, all I did was high school seniors. Yep. But now I'm moving that forward to the point where I want to again I'm already I'm already selling Neiman Marcus stuff, but I want to take that up a level so that it's even better for my clients.
Lorraine, when people come in our door, and Rob, that's perfect. When they come in, there's an archway around our desk. Oh, okay. Yeah. So look in the chat. I don't know where it is. I'll look at it in a second. Okay. So I'm gonna jump off here, but here, let me. I'm gonna go back here. I'm gonna close this. So because what I wanted to show you, I'm going to skip and go to the website. I'm gonna log in. Now I'm gonna log in here real quick. Okay, just to show you guys. So you need to join. Hang on. Let me see. Premium membership right here. Let me look here first. It is your premium. You want your premium? It's $67 a quarter to join printcompetition.com. But see, watch what I can look. I can go to the archives and I can come through here and I can select any category, any state or local place. So let's just do this for grants. Okay. Let's just pick on me. I'm going to pick TPPA. Hang on. Let me see. Sometimes it doesn't. Oh, you know what? I'm not logged in. Hang on. I got to log in. Nope. Skip and go to the website. Let me get logged in. So let me show you what this does. So Rob, you're saying you want to enter print competition, right? So you're going to come here. Now I'm going to go to my game day apps and I'm going to go to the archive results. Then it's making me sign in again. I'm going to sign in right here. Okay. So let's see how I'm going to search. I'm going to search TPPA and I'm going to search by maker. I'm going to search. I'm going to go last year and this year. I'm going to click go. Okay. And now I can see all of these images that have entered. And there's a better way to search. Let's see. There used to be a way here.
Click on organization and go to DPPA and it'll bring up.
Yeah, I was trying to look at TPPA's. Let's do this. Right there. So let's do that. Okay, let's click TPPA from last year. Let's click go. So here's all the images that I entered last year in TPPA. We can click on them and we can see. So that one merited. So they do it a little different at TPPA, the whole scoring thing. So if it has a seal of approval, that means it scored at least an 80, right? So that one scored. Okay. This one here, so it definitely got sealed and it got Texcellence. So 3 out of the 5 judges awarded this image Texcellence, which means it was one of the best images. And this image actually was the only image in the group category to get Texcellence. So it won best portrait of a group for all of Texas, right? So guess what? I get ribbons, I get plaques, I get a little coin, and those are all over the studio. When my clients come in, they see these awards. They know I'm committed. They know that the product I'm offering is a Neiman Marcus product because of the accolades that my work has received. Okay. Then this one here was a seal of approval, right? It didn't get Texcellence, so this was at least an 80. This was an album. It got 2 out of 3 Texcellence. It needed 1 more. Okay. Which is a bummer. I was hoping it would score higher. This one had seal of approval. It had 1 person voted Texcellence. This is an example of client work right here. Okay. This was not for competition. This was for a client. We did this. We had them come in for a mommy and me session, and we used this to promote our sessions. And I just went ahead and entered this. This was done strictly for client. I'll tell y'all this. Well, this one I took to another level with the painting technique. This was a little higher than our normal Santa stuff because I digitally painted it. I went above and beyond. Now we offer this level of portrait in our studio, but it's around $5,000 compared to our normal one. But we print it and embellish it. The embellishing class that we offer, that's part of that group, we teach how to add the brushstrokes to this right here. We teach the painting technique and we teach the embellishing. That's taking it to another level. And that's my daughter. Yes. Okay. Then so let's just go over here. All right. This was the best portrait of a child. And then I even reworked it because of some feedback I received during judging with the wrinkles in the shirt. I reworked this image, and it ended up with a rework. It ended up finishing top 8 in PP in the IPC this year. Okay, and then this image got second place to the little boy, and then this was a commercial image, and I was disappointed in this one. This one did not get approved, so it did not get an 80, and I felt that was unjust, and I feel like the reason that they didn't score as high because they didn't announce the category when this image came up, and they should have. They should have said that this was a commercial. This was a 13-minute exposure. So if you look how smooth and glassy everything is, I shot it with a bunch of ND filters. It was for a cover. I should have, in hindsight, maybe I should have put what we call the masthead and all the stuff, put it over the image so that they could see that it was a magazine cover. But to me, this is one of my best commercial works I've done. I think it's beautiful. But that's where I disagree with the judge. It's still above average, right? So I'm not totally disappointed, but I felt like it should have gotten an 80 or higher. All right. So as you can see, now let's go back over here. And now look here. Here's all the print competitions that are coming up. This looks like it's through April. So a lot of these you don't have to be a member to enter. Dallas, you have to be a member to enter. I don't think TPPA you have to be a member to enter, but all of the rules are here. Okay. So let me go to game day apps and I'll show you a little trick. I don't know, Elaine or Lorraine, if you know this. If I go to pregame, I'll log in. Watch here. So this is one that Lorraine and I will be entering. So this is what I wanted to show you. So if y'all go Sunday afternoon at 3:00, you can log in here if you have your membership, your premium membership, and you can watch these images right here and listen to them being judged. So I'm going to be entering an image here today. So all of these images will be judged. Oh, there's Lee.
Yep.
Clown before the makeup. That's a funny title for that image of Lee. Right? So here's all of the images. And since I will show y'all real quick, the image that I'll be entering will be, it's this image here. So we'll see how it scores. So I'm putting myself out there.
Black and white one?
I'm not going to enter the black and white. Let me turn on my layers. I've got the beta Photoshop on here, and I've got to change the settings because it automatically opens it in beta. So it'll be this version that I will be entering. So I'm going to submit this today, and we'll see how it scores. I think this is what I would call client work. This should score somewhere between, in my opinion, an 82 and an 85, somewhere in that scope. Okay. All right. I know we got to sidetracked, but that's what I love about these. We don't have to stay exactly on topic, but I don't think we went away from the topic. There's a beautiful image. That image right there, that's going to score somewhere between a 87 and a 90 from an architectural standpoint. Okay. Anyway, so here's that. This is how you build confidence. This is how you eliminate that. What do we call it, Lori? Called the imposter syndrome. Okay. All right. Any questions on that before we jump back into in-person sales? Just look at the poll. Len, I hope that does help. And you need to be entering Dallas every month. And then
I will plan to do that.
And then you need to enter TPPA March 26th.
Okay.
Put yourself out there. Make yourself vulnerable. If you want to have that little nervous feeling and you want to have that little unsure feeling, let's have it in print competition and get it out of the sales room.
Really good advice.
Okay, Lori.
Yes.
The show is all yours. I'm going to mute myself.
Yeah, we'll see how long he stays muted.
I'm gonna do my best.
He doesn't like to stay muted. I mean, let's just be real. So anyway, I wanted to put a couple of those images of the studio, of what it looked like when now the studio is a disaster at this very moment. So there's boxes and stuff, but you'll see. I mean, those are the in the chat. If you can see, there's that picture that I put in there that shows you what it looks like. Oh, you're still sharing your screen, hon. You can see what it looks like of that whole archway just covered with ribbons. And every time he gets one, we stick it up there because, you know, it makes them feel confident in what they're about to spend because they know that the person that's doing the work has put in he's paid his dues. And so, and he's obviously gotten those ribbons for a reason. And, we want them to know that we're expensive. So there's nothing wrong with that at all. So let me show you what we do. Let me get back into where I was at. This got me all distracted here. That's what he does. He gets me all distracted.
Sorry.
Langell of Langell Fit.
Not sorry.
Okay, there's the notes. So what I want to show you is, since we've been kind of talking about sales, and I know some of you have space for sales, some of you don't. I want to show you, since you're not here and I'm not in the sales room, I took some pictures so you can see kind of what our sales room, how it's set up. Let me pull those over and stick those in the chat so you can see them. And then they'll be there for the people that it's been recorded for. So I've got, put these in. Oh, let me add them in here. I have them right here. So I took 4 different pictures of our sales room so you can kind of see. I am sending them in the chat right now. So it gives you different perspectives. Now, our sales room hasn't always looked like this. At one point, it was just a table in the middle of the studio. We didn't really have a separate room. So that makes a difference. So this is the first year we've used a projector. Lots of times we've used a television screen, but there's also been times when we did in-person sales in a client's home. And when we do that, then we have taken a computer screen with us or taken our laptop and we viewed them there. So there's different ways to do it. Even if you're doing it on, if you're doing it on Zoom with a client, you can still have the pieces to show them product before they leave their shoot. Show them some of your physical products that are some of your fan favorites or some of the ones that you want to be the ones that you're promoting the most. Show them those, make them touch them. That's extremely important in this process. So if you don't have a sales room and you have to do it online, that's what I suggest doing. Let me get back to my notes so we can make some sense here. So one thing that is, I think is important is going to be you're setting your clients' expectations. That starts with your first contact with them. It starts with the questionnaires you send them. You need to find out where they're starting from. What are their expectations? What are they hoping to get out of this session? Are they just wanting some little prints to give to grandma? Or are they, because sometimes they know what they want and sometimes they have no clue. In fact, many times when I get them in my studio, especially with Santa, I always ask them, so do you have any idea what kind of, did you have any idea today on what you might want from your session? What kind of products? And if you don't, that's okay. And it gives me an idea of where they're starting from. If I know coming in they want a wall portrait, that's good. But sometimes they come in and they're like, well, I know I just wanted the experience. So now I need to go and I'm gonna have to do a little bit more education because they may not hang pictures on their walls. Because some people just they don't know any better. They decorate their homes just to be pretty, not to have their family displayed on there. So that gives me an opportunity to go into the reason to have photos displayed on the walls to bring help their family stay connected. We think that's an extremely important. That is in every bit of marketing that we send to the clients. It talks about making sure that you have photos on the wall and in your home of your family. It helps with your kids' self-confidence. It helps keep your unit as a family at the forefront of your mind. And we think that's very important. And it's what's lacking in today's society. And so when people design their homes and they start decorating, they start thinking about all the art they can hang on the wall. These canvases that people slap some paint on that are just these, they're not worried. They don't think about their family as being a piece of art. And they are. To me, that's the most important piece of art that you can put in your home. But we need to make sure that they understand that the implications of not having that on their walls, of not feeling connected to your own family and having a sense of belonging. So help them understand that. When you come into your sales session, you want to, where you'll notice in these, in the pictures that I put in the chat, we have all kinds of sizes of wall portraits, all different types of wall portraits. We have different materials, different frames. I want them to see options because a lot of people don't realize that all these options exist. We assume that they know about all this, but they don't. So when they come into my sales room, I think of it as I'm educating my client, not only on the options about how to display, but where they should display these things, how large the items should be from different viewing perspectives. If it's above the fireplace, you can't put an 11 by 14 up there. You're not gonna be able to see anybody's faces, right? We know that. They don't know that. They think 11 by 14 is gigantic, which we all know is not. So you need to educate them about the distance you should be from what size portrait you need. If you're standing in a hallway is going to be different than if you're looking at it from above, if it's hanging above a fireplace. So we have to educate them on those things. That's very, very important. And that's one feature that InView has that is like ProSelect has it as well, but InView has the room view. And a lot of softwares now, I think Fundy may even have that. Yeah, let me go in and show you that. But you can have a picture of their wall and put a size portrait up there so they can see, and you can show them this is, let me show you. I've got one in here right now. Let me share my screen. Up to. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Wonderful, thank you. Let me go into here. So this is InView for those who have not been in here before. So this is my go-to when it comes to going through a sales session with a client. Like Chris said, it does have a built-in Zoom feature that you can use, which is great. It worked. We don't do a lot of those, but sometimes you just get somebody, especially during COVID. That was obviously everybody had to pivot. This was a great time that I use this. We use this a lot during COVID, where people didn't feel comfortable coming in, or we try to get them to come in, even if they're coming from out of town. That's one thing that's on our questionnaire. We let them know that we need to schedule a sales appointment while they're here. So because I want them to feel and touch my products. If you don't have that, you're missing out. Don't send them just a gallery. Get on a Zoom with them if you need to do that. So when I'm going through these with clients, I play them a little slideshow, just like everybody else does. But what I'm doing while they're let me turn the volume of that down. Okay. As this slideshow is going through, you'll notice they're not edited. So because Santa has no magic. So I go through here and I show them, remember, we have pictures all around the room that have edited versions of these. Okay. During Santa, we don't have time to go through and edit them before they see them. Okay. That may be different in some other sessions. In some other sessions, we may edit one where they can get a preview of that. But with Santa, we've got enough images for them to look at of samples that they can kind of get it. I going through here, and because remember, this is the first time I've seen this client. So I'm going through and I'm laughing at, we're laughing at the kids and talking about what they were doing, and the parents. I'm bringing back that romance of the session, which is very important. It's at this point with our Santa, at least it's been a couple days. So I want them to remember what was happening. This particular one here with the little boy, mom and dad were stand-in for Santa because he was terrified of him. So, we talk about how I can take the little boy from this image and Santa from the other image and blend the two together. But I'm really helping them through this story as they're reliving this, giving them a preview of the ones that Chris has selected for them to view. So I'm going to bypass that. We don't need to watch that anymore. But what's nice is, let's just say that I think they ended up with.
I'm going to go through and show.
I'm going to right now.
Start finish. Here's full gallery. How you narrow it down.
I can do that. I can do that now if you want.
You should do it.
Okay.
Start to finish. Exactly what you do.
Okay. So he's telling me to change gears again. He doesn't like the way I'm doing it, so we're gonna fix it. Okay, so if at that point, if I have already gone through and done a slideshow, now okay, now that you've seen that, now we're going to go through one by one and we're going to narrow them down. We're going to try to rate them so you can kind of see. So in this particular, in Envy, you have an option on how you can kind of cull the images. You can do a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can do a 1, 2, 3. You can do yes, maybe, no, which is what I tend to do. Their yes, maybe, no is a smiley face and then kind of a neutral face and then a sad face for no. And they don't like to say no. So that's one reason I like that, because they get sad when they have to say no. So we go through here and we will rate them. What I usually do is I will take them through an individual view all at the first time. And as we go through, we'll mark these. So maybe she didn't like this because the little boy's looking at the camera. So she wouldn't like that because her eyes are closed. So we've marked that one as no. This one's good because everybody's looking up, looking at where Santa's magic, because Santa's magic would be falling from here. So we're going to mark that one as a yes because we like that one. Oh, mom, maybe she likes this because she's smiling more. So we'll like that one, but it's similar to the last one. Oh, the older boy has a little bit better expression in this one. So now we'll go through here and we'll just do a couple of these so you can see. We're going to just mark these. That one's a maybe. This one's a no because he's, looking at the ground. Now I like this one because even though the little boy was over here playing, I wish I could see more of his face. But for this first round, I'm going to keep that one. Okay. Not sure I'm liking the one where he's crying. This one's better. So let's just say that we've gone through all of those. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to filter.
Lori, go ahead and just go through real quick and pick like 25 or 30 images.
Okay, he wants me to pick 25 or 30 images. Let me do that real quick. I think I know where you're going. Okay.
Yeah, hang on. So what I'm having her do in a regular sales session, hang on. In a normal sales session, as Lori goes through here, they're going one by one with the clients. What you're basically trying to do is if you notice, there's 79 images in this gallery. In the first round of viewing, when the client comes in, we tell them, look, don't worry about favorites, don't worry about anything. We just show them all 80 images on a slideshow. Then we go through and Lori has them pick the yes, no, maybes. And we remind them that we've shot on a tripod, so we can easily remove mom and dad from these photos. That's very simple. We covered that in our Making the Magic full day workshop, where we're talking about how we edit. We talk about how we do all of this and still provide safety for the little kid so he doesn't fall off. And we got dad right there. So anyway, so as Lori's going through, she lets mom sees them. Then the next step, and this is what we follow every single time. They come in, the first thing that they want to do is they want to see the images. So you have to show them the gallery. You're not talking products. You're not talking anything. None of that. You're just saying, look, we've got some nice Christmas music playing. Can I get you a drink? Would you like a glass of wine? Dad, I've got some bourbon over here. Can I get you a water? Can I get you a Coke? We have all those things. And so they watch the gallery. Then Lori just says, now, Mom, what I want you to do is we're going to go through each image. And we're just going to do a yes, no, or a maybe. And Dad, if you want to say a yes and Mom says a no, we're not going to discuss the differences or why you said yes or why you said no. We're just trying to narrow down from 79 to about half or so. All right. Does that make sense to everyone? You're just trying to get it narrowed down to the favorites. Don't hit that first round is not when you debate images. If there's 3 people in the room, one yes and the image gets selected, even though 2 other people say no. I tell the people, when you're going through that process, it doesn't matter. If Mom says yes and Dad says no, Mom, don't you smack Dad. Say, no, I love that. And Dad says, oh, no, that's not when we debate it. We're just trying to narrow down your choices. Then now Lori will say, okay, well, now let's go through the yeses. And our goal is to narrow these down. So if Lori, how many yeses do you have here?
Let's see. 27.
Okay, so she's got 27. So if you get to that number and understand where we are trying to sell an album. We talked about that last week. And we know that we need at least 11 to 15 images, but it's not uncommon for someone to pick a few more than that. So now what we would do is this is where we would stop the sales session. And we'd say, okay, great. You've narrowed it down to about 27. That's perfect. Now I'll let Lori handle this part. This is where we would then go, okay, now that we've got it narrowed down, what I want to do is go over the different options you have for us to deliver the artwork to you. Because a lot of times what'll happen is the images will point you in a direction for the art that we're going to deliver to you. It might point you in the direction of an album or a wall portrait or Christmas cards or prints. So why don't we start to go over the products? And then that's where Lori goes over the products. Lori, and I'll let you take it from there. So I wanted to make sure that's when I'm talking, her job's to keep me out of the ditches, and I'm wanting to do the same thing. But I want y'all to understand our process. So there's two different things that we're talking about here is how we physically run it, what software we use, but also this process and how we've developed it over years, where you want to give them the main important thing first when they walk in the door. You don't want to talk about money. You don't want to talk about product. You don't want to talk about how something costs. What's this? What's that? What do you want to buy? Do you want to buy a big wall portrait? No, you got to make them fall in love with the work. You got to show them the images first. Well, how much is that? We'll get to that in a minute, Mom. I just want to make sure that you get to see all of the images. Okay? All right, Lori, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. So after we get to this point, then I've already gone through and we've kind of narrowed down to their favorite images. Usually at this point, we've already gotten rid of any that are what I call duplicate images. So two that look almost identical. We've decided which of those are their favorites. Even if we have to narrow down again, then that's okay. If I'm somewhere between 20 and 30 images, I'm good. And I'm ready. I feel comfortable at that point to go, you know what, let's shift gears, because their brains have already their hearts are already hurting because they've had to get rid of some images in their mind. They've had to, because we've started with usually about 80. We've chopped their images in at least half, if not more so. And so their hearts are broken. So now I need to refocus them. And then we start talking about products. And I always say, don't worry, we're going to come back to the images. Okay. Because the images will lead us. Once we know the kind of products that you're interested in, then the images will help us pull everything together. So now we'll just switch and we go through and I hand them first thing. I don't like being in here because I don't have all my products. Can you go get the pricing album? And like some prints and stuff. He's going to bring me all kinds of random stuff. Okay, so I have in which we kind of talked over the last sell set, over the last one of when we did our pricing sessions. But I print my pricing guide. It's pretty much the same one that's online that we have for them. I take some of the details out about the frequently asked questions and those kind of things, but our different pricing and our different categories. But what I do have is what's not in the one online is I have some special collections that I've created. I don't really talk about them until we get to this point. Thank you. Okay. Oh my, you brought a lot of stuff. Okay. So this is our pricing album that I hand them when they're ready to look at product and we shift gears. I'm like, okay, well, let me give you. I ask them if they had a chance to look over our pricing that we had sent to them when they registered. Some have not. And that's okay. I just always ask because it helps me know whether there's a potential for sticker shock or not. Okay, so I hand them the book. And then of course, they always go, oh, wow, this is nice. But guess what? They're holding an album. So they instantly know the quality of what they're about to see. So when we talk about albums, they can see and feel this book. Okay. So we go through here, we start about it, and I tell them, I'm like, you know what? Don't worry about the pricing at this point. I want you just to look at the materials that I have to show you. I'm educating you about, all the different ones that we offer. If there's something that, don't get overwhelmed, because we as a studio have chosen to offer, like with Santa, we offer the same products year round. Because I feel like it's wrong. And personally, for us, I think there's so many different types of people, especially maybe it's just because we're in the DFW Metroplex. There's so many different types of people with different ways they style their homes, And so we've got, the ultra modern to ultra country. So we have to fit all those different ones because Santa's for everyone. So I think there should be a style for everyone. So I'm okay by showing them a lot of product, but the way I show it to them is I tell them, if it's something that doesn't interest you, that's okay. Like if acrylic's not your thing, that's fine. But I'm just letting you know what's here. And then we'll go into more details on the items that you're interested in. So I'm teaching them about the products because, again, they don't know what most of these products are. We assume that they do. Don't assume anything. Okay. They think everything is canvas. It's not. They think everything's printed on canvas. So they think all the materials are the same. And they think, some things get scratched easier. They don't know how things are made. Those are the things you're educating them about. So as we go through the process, I'm handing them products. So I'm handing them, well, he didn't bring me what I wanted. We have our standard print, which is just your regular luster print. And then we have a premium print. We have one that's floppy, right? Just like a piece of paper. I'm like, here's a premium print. I mean, a standard print. And here is a premium print. And they can feel the difference in the quality between them. That makes a huge difference, especially when if you have someone in there that's in their mind, they're thinking that this is expensive. Well, when they see the types of quality that we're giving them, it helps to justify it in their brain. They're like, oh, well, I can't get that at Walmart. So, because you still have those people that are going to want to, oh, here we go. Here's the difference. So I hand in these two different items. Hold on, I got to turn my blur off. It's trying to blur everything. Now you're going to see all the mess behind my desk. So these are our two smaller standard, well, I say our smaller prints just for clients. These are our standard prints. These are just your regular luster prints. Okay.
Lori,
And this is how I hand it to them.
Lori, can you unshare so we can see you a little bit better?
Oh, yes. Let me do that. I got to unshare so she can see me better. Oh, there it is. Is that better? Okay. So, in fact, let me do this so I can see myself a little better. So I hand them the two different products, but I make sure that I show how floppy this one is because I want them to see the difference. And I hand them this thick one because I want them to feel it versus this one. And then they go, oh yeah, I like this one. Right. That's important because if you're selling online, they can't feel the difference between those. Okay. Then I hand them everything. Everything I can put in their hands, I put in their hands. I hand them the matted print. They can feel and touch and see how their items, they're touching I don't care. If they get fingerprints on it and they get oil on it and I have to replace it, I'll replace it. But I think it's important for them to feel the different textures of paper. Like we've got in some of our albums, jump to album for a second. We have, in this one, we use deep matte paper versus our the one they're holding in their hand just has your standard luster paper in there. I think it's important for them to see that because people are very, I don't know if you're like me. I walk around the stores and touch everything.
Textile.
Yeah, very textile. And I think a lot of people are that way. They need to feel it. They feel the quality of it. So if they're there, take advantage of that. Get that textile going with them. Okay. Let them feel the blankets. Let them feel the pillows. Let them feel the wall portraits. Touch them. I don't care. I don't care if you get your fingerprints on them. I can clean them. Okay. So do that. It's extremely, extremely important. Okay. But then I go through this whole thing and we talk about, we go through all the different, the gift items and we go through the tabletops. I hand them, I make sure I point out some of my favorite products, some of my best sellers like this. This is people love this because it feels heavy. I mean, it's like an inch thick. So it's got these heavy hinges on it and it feels good. People like this. It feels homey to them. Okay. And it's also show them the convenience because now it folds flat. They want to know how things are made. They want to know how things are going to last and how it feels. When you explain to them your metals, explain how they're made. Explain if you don't know how they're made, go look it up. Go on a lab tour. Watch them bake the pictures on. So those things are extremely, extremely important. Show them how your albums are made. Show them how they're handmade and how they hand tuck the leather. That's all extremely important. Show them, if you need to show them you could also show them a video of how they're made if you've had that. I've done that in the past as well, because I've had clients that were interested in seeing kind of it in action. So learn about the products you're selling. Learn about where they come from. Learn about the materials they're made with. Learn about the ones that are hand tied or hand folded or whatever, hand bound. Thank you. Learn about those things, because those things add value to people. It makes it sexy to them when it's handmade, or it's made in Italy, or it's made in with Italian leather. They like that stuff. That makes them feel special. So, and it makes their family. It makes it. You want to make it worthy of their family, in my mind, because it's easy to just go, oh yeah, well here's some 5x7 little prints. To me, our families are worthy of very well made quality materials. They may not be able to always afford them, but don't assume that they can't afford it either. I think that's extremely important, because there's lots of times that Chris comes in and he's like, yep, good luck on that session. You're not going to get anything out of that family. And he'll come in and I come out and I'm like, look what I did. I just sold, like one of the larger packages. And he's like, how did you do that? Well, you have to make them fall in love. Their kids aren't always perfect. Their kids are not always going to be making these pretty, lovely, sweet little faces. Help them realize that that's their personalities coming in. If that's where they are in their personality, if they're making these silly faces, or we don't always recognize that. So when Chris is giving me images, he's giving me some where the kids are making these weird faces and they're just acting crazy. But you don't know how many times I hear, oh my gosh, that's the face he always makes. Or that's just what she's into right now. Capture that, because one day those kids are going to look back on those images and they're going to go, oh my gosh, I used to always do that. That's what people want to see. The parents want to see pictures that represent where their children are right now. Okay. Give them some pretty ones too, but give them some that connect to those kids' personalities.
Lori, I think it's important that you mentioned that's what they always want. Sometimes they don't even know that, and I've heard you say that. Well, this is just who they are right now, and they'll grow at it, and you'll look back and laugh at it when that kid makes a stupid face the whole time.
They probably didn't hear you say that.
Let me unmute there for a second. I think it's what Lori said there is really important, and because sometimes it worries me when kids are making weird faces and you can't get them to stop sticking their tongue out, or just kids will make dumb faces during these photos. Like, what are they doing? And I'm trying to get them to stop. And then mom will be in there and I'll hear her say, oh gosh, I don't know why he was making that face in her, why they were doing that. And it's important that you say right then, it's like, but mom, that's who they are right then. Because sometimes the mom is unhappy that the kids did something. But mom, isn't it great? You'll be able to look back and laugh on this years later on why you were making these dumb faces. And that's who they were then. And that can help you maybe reach your goal of what you're wanting to deliver to that client, and overcome where a kid maybe doesn't do exactly what mom was hoping during the session, if that makes sense. Okay.
We have to keep taking turns unmuting and muting ourselves, or we get too much feedback. So, but I think it's important. Show those children's personalities or your clients' personalities. None of us are perfect. And that's, to me, that's the beauty of it. When you can see a personality and you can see the non-perfect and see behind the screen of a family. And they don't always realize that that's what they want. And you want to give them good stuff too. And you want to give them, eventually Chris always gets a smile out of them somehow because he acts goofy and they think he's silly. So those are always there, but give them some unperfect stuff too, because that's when they go, oh, yep, there he is. That's the face he always makes. Or like we had a little girl in here yesterday and she was making this smile and she looked like Elvis. She had that like curled lip and everything. But we put that up in the sales session. But you know what? It breaks the ice. it helps them laugh. It helps them kind of giggle at themselves and realize that, somebody caught that expression on their face.
I put bad photos and goofy photos in there for that.
Oh yeah, and Chris says he puts goofy photos in there all the time just for those reasons. But it's fun because that brings them right back to that session when that kid was acting goofy or being ornery or sitting there and pouting and not doing what they wanted. So because then especially when we try to encourage them not to bring their children, but let's be real, that doesn't always happen. So I'd rather them spend more money with me than if they're going to have to worry about getting a sitter, if the money's that tight, then just bring the kids. We'll figure it out. I have coloring books. I have Barbie dolls. I hide them unless they're there. But if they're there and they need something to do, we keep them busy. We have a foosball table. We have a Pac-Man game. So we keep them busy if, distracted so mom can focus. And that's important. I was really against this whole Pac-Man and foosball table that we now have. But it really does come in handy when I'm in the sales session and I've got a 9-year-old boy and a 10-year-old boy, and they don't want to be in that sales room. They need to be distracted. So they're out playing foosball. With dad. Yeah, with dad. Yeah, and mom's picking all the pretty pictures out. And when we're done and it's time for somebody to bring out the credit card, we call dad in. So don't lose a sale because you're so focused on getting everybody to leave the kids at home. Just find something to distract them. But that being said, the ideal thing is no kids and all the decision makers there. But in today's world, as much as people travel and everything else, it's just really, really hard sometimes. So just keep that in mind as you're planning your sales sessions. So,
Lori, one of the questions that was in there is, are you doing straight out of camera or are you guys image color correcting? What are you doing?
Chris, what are you doing before? That's a good answer for Chris because I don't do that part. I'm going to mute so he can answer.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead and ask that again.
Are you doing straight out of camera when you're showing? Or are you doing some image color correction?
Yeah, so I have a preset in our Making the Magic that I do in Lightroom. So I always at least will open the images, the raw files in Lightroom and make some minor adjustments. If like I've got to get a gallery ready for Lori that actually clients coming in right at 2:30 today, and I've got to shoot at 3. So I need to get that gallery ready. So I'll go in and pick out the best images. I will straighten them. And then I'll run a Lightroom preset that just maybe puts a little vibrance through a couple of things. Lorraine, I do with my Santa stuff, it's a pretty extensive process to get the final look that we do. But I have a preset that I've built over the years in Lightroom that I use. And so I apply that to the raw files. And then that's the images that we show in the sales room. So they look a little better than straight out of the camera, but they're not the final edited versions. Does that help? And I'll say this, we did it last night. It wasn't a big order. I knew it wasn't going to be a big order. It's at least a $300 order, which is a really tiny order, but I knew this was a model shoot. But what I also will do is I'll pick my favorite 2 or 3 images, the best of the best, and I'll put those at the very beginning of the gallery. That's the first images they see. Some people like to save the best for last. I like to start them off with a wow, what I think are the best ones, show those first, and then show the rest. And the order that they placed last night, it was one of those images was the image that they selected.
2, maybe all 3.
Yeah. So, okay. All right. Back to you, Lori.
Okay, so I hope that answered that question. I don't know exactly what he does. That's why I knew that. But usually when he gives me his top 3, 90% of them, that's what they get, even if it's not been edited yet. So, but when we do, there are sometimes he will do a sample image, especially if it's a different kind of an image, or we may not have a good example of something in the studio, or he really thinks there's a good potential for this particular client to spend a lot. based on the conversations that he'd had with them, then he will do an edit on one image so they can kind of see. But they know that kind of going in. And so, but again, it helps when you have all the samples that you can show them and they can see the quality of work that you're already doing. That makes a difference.
Let me jump in there for just a second. Or we talked about that a little bit last week, I believe, but I'll reiterate it for those that maybe have missed it. One of the things that I invested in a couple of years ago was a Canon ProGraph 4100 printer. So I don't remember how much it was. It's a $5,000 or $6,000 printer, and it'll print up to 44 inches wide, and it'll print banners, it'll print fine art, it'll print canvas. Then I invested in $300 in a machine that I could mount my images to a hard board, kind of like Masonite. So I can print, mount, and then I can put an image in a frame. So one of the things that we do with our fine art portraits is I actually try. I need to edit one for this 2:30 session. So when we're trying to get a big sale, we're trying to do an heirloom portrait that's a $2,500 to $5,000 image. I will actually go ahead and edit, print, and put in a frame my favorite image and have it in the sales room on display when the client walks in. We can afford to do that because my true cost on that is about $25 that it costs me to print that image and mount it in studio. I wouldn't do it if I had to order the print from the lab, but we invested in that printer, and it's been one of the better investments I feel like we've made, Lori, where we printed a lot of our own stuff and we use it during Santa season in case we mess up on a client's order or the order doesn't get here in time. I can print them a wall portrait and have it within a few hours of them. So that's a good investment. We don't do all of our wall portraits that way because I just don't have time during Santa season, but it's really good that we can print some of our own stuff. Okay.
Okay, so let me share my screen with you real quick so you can see this. So in InView, you have the opportunity to, so especially those people, this next year, I'm going to add to my emails that go out is I'm going to have them take a picture of if somewhere where they're thinking about hanging a wall portrait or a couple options of walls where they could hang some wall portraits. I'm going to have them take a picture and bring that with them. And I'm going to give them either something free or I'm going to give them a little bit of a discount on something to encourage them to do that. Because what happens is we've never had somebody come back that said, I got this picture too big. It's always, I got it too little. Because what they're going to do is they're going to want to come in and they come in and they go, oh, I just need a picture. It's a big one. I need like an 11 by 14. I'm going to put it on top of my mantle. And no, in what world? Do you live in a dollhouse? I don't know. So in this, it's just like, and a lot of you have seen things like this. It's room view. This is an 11 by 14 that's on this wall. But now I can go in and I can show them different sizes. Now I've got different pricing and stuff in here for this, but I can go up and show them this is a 20 by 30. And they go, oh, that's better. Okay, well, this is a 30 by 40. And then they really start to understand the scale based on what their fireplace looks like. Now, this is just a stock room, but I could go in and I could change my room. This is actually a client's house. Okay. So this one had a really odd kind of fireplace because only certain things would fit. But I don't even remember which size we ended up getting. I think after we scaled this one, I don't think a 30 by 40. I think theirs might have been a 24 by 36.
Yeah, it was.
But you can see being able to take this and scale it. Now, what else could I do? I could also go in and add this picture. Now I can add one on this side. I can go, okay, maybe I want a grouping. Okay, now I can add a frame. Or I can not have a frame. I can have a mat. I can have no mat. So you can do all of these things. Now they don't have, I think ProSelect, you can add specific frame vendors in there. Well, you know what? We don't do it that way. So InView just kind of has some generic ones in there, which work, right? As long as you know the size of their frame and if there's a mat, how big the frame is and how big the mat is, you can make this show that. And let's just see, I can add another size. Let's say we add another one. Let's add, I don't know, this one with mom and dad smooching. Okay, and now I'm going to change this one to another 16 by 20, if I can find it. Let's put a frame. I think I got different colors, but that's all right. You get the idea. So now I can take this and I can save this. I can also share this. So let's say dad's not there. Let's say mom came in and she's like, oh, this is what I want, but I don't know. I don't know if he'll like it or not. I'm like, okay, well, you know what? Let's send it to him. So now I can share this. I can copy this link and now I can text it to him. In fact, I'll put that in the chat. If I can find the chat again.
Share the room.
I did share that.
I didn't know you could do that.
Yep, you can do that. Oh well, I can't see the chat right now for some reason. I will get it in a second. So now I can take this and I can text this picture to dad, and dad can go, "Oh wow," or he may say, "I think that's too big," or "It's too little," or whatever it is. We can adjust it. Maybe he wants to see the difference. Maybe he'd rather see just one picture instead of all three. And he's like, "Okay, well now I can give him different pricing." Okay, and I can save this. I can save it for later, so that way later I have that. I can also go in and do whoops. Okay, look, print arrangements. It shows the picture on here, which I like. Let me close out of here. I can also go in here and I can do wall collections. They have some that are pre-made, so now I can go in here and I can add my picture, whatever they are. So I use it this way. I also use it sometimes. I'll go in and I will just do. I want to see how something's cropped. Okay, so I'll go into. Nope, that's not where I go. I made a category called size comparisons. So if somebody wants to see how an 11 by 14 crops, I can open this and I can show them how it's going to crop. I can take it and I can zoom in, and then I can save that. So I like those features of it. So that's why I made this size comparison, because up until now I've been using my pricing in my CRM, which is Pixify. But this has that. You can add it and do your invoicing straight from here, which I may try to do this next year. So just know that that is a possibility. And so if I add this to my cart and I go or I can go and I can put it in, continue shopping. I can also go in and let's say I've got, where's my miscellaneous? I just changed all this yesterday. I can go in. So this is my wood panels over here. I want to order my wood panels. I want to do an 8x8. I'm going to select my images for my 8x8 panel. So let's just say I want this one. That's my first image. And then my second image, I want this one where they're praying. And then we'll have mom and dad kissing. They literally like that picture. Okay, so now I'm done. Now I've got my images in there. It tells me I've got my three. I don't know why I've got this says select images. I just did something wrong when I set that up. And I can add it to cart. So now if I go to my cart, now I can see if I do view details, I can add notes. It has the image in here. It has the size. This one has my hinge collection. It shows me which images. I can even, when I'm doing it, I can reorder because I like to put them in if I write it down, I want it it's got to be a specific order. So you can rearrange the order that they're in. So I think that's just a really handy thing. So if you hadn't seen the room view feature in any of these softwares, I'm sorry, I'm trying to exit out of here and it won't let me. I think that is a good thing to know about. So let me put this in the chat. Where did my chat go? There's the chat. I want to see what this looks like on this end. Okay, so what I just sent here, oh, I think I just sent it to Lorraine. I didn't mean to. So what I just sent, I just put in the group text is what the client gets if we text it to them, if we share it from the room view. So that way, if you need to send it to dad or you're doing, I I mean, really anything. I've had to go in and create it for somebody that after the fact they left and they're like, I'm not sure, or they get home and they're like, I don't know. I really don't know what size I need. I'm like, you know what? Let's price it at the lower one. And then when you get home, I want you to take a picture. You send it to me. I will set this up and I'll send it back to you and I'll put the images in there to scale. Then I send them this. This will sell you wall portraits. This will sell you larger wall portraits because they can see it on their walls, not just on some stock room. So don't forget this feature. We tend to, especially in Santa, we don't always have time to do this as much as I would like. But that's something we need to get better about doing. But every time we do it, it works. Every single time we do it and do it in use their client's home image, it always works. And we always tell them a bigger picture than they thought they needed. So don't discount using that because it really, really helps. Okay, so let me look back on notes. All my stuff is covering up my screens. I keep moving y'all around everywhere. All right, give me a second. Got too many screens open. All right, so one thing I think is important is to make sure that you're giving them some documentation when they leave. So make sure that, like Chris, it took me a while to get Chris to agree to get people to sign things because he did not really think that people wanted to sign contracts. And so, but sign a contract, have them sign something when they when they schedule their appointment that covers all your bases. Covers if you have any modeling things in there, if you're going to use their images, about expectations, set their expectations about deliveries, expectations if you're shipping stuff to them, put something in there that you're not responsible if FedEx loses their order, that's their responsibility. I mean, you got to put all that in there, make them sign it because it could cover your butt on some things. So I think that's very important. I'm getting more and more things that I'm making them initial off on. That they're not going to get any, that they recognize that until they've made all their payments, that they're not going to get anything. So, I mean, there's just so many different things that you can put in there that helps you later. It just helps cover your bases on that. So make sure that you're doing that. Give them a copy of their invoice when they're done. Put the image numbers on there. So you don't want any confusion on what they're getting. Don't just say, the image with Susie sitting on a rock. That could be anything. Give them the file name or the image number, however you communicate that. Make sure that it can't be confused with anything. So whenever a client refers to us about a specific image, we're always like, what is the file name? Because that's how we talk about it with a client, is from even when I'm in the sales room, we talk about the file name. I show them how their files are named, that it's their, especially with Santa. We do the most of those. And so that's why we always refer back to Santa. But with our Santa, it's their session number and their usually their first initial and their last name, and then the image number. That's how their images are saved. I don't want to hear, oh, the third image that you sent me. No, give me the file name. I don't want to work a whole bunch on something that we realize is not the same image. We're not talking about the same image. That's just a big waste of time. So any communication you have with them on their order and on their products, make sure that you are specifically writing which file number or the file name that you are using, so there's no question. If it's a bonus, that's one reason I would like to go. I'm probably going to go back to InView for my invoicing for my in-person sales because it has little thumbnails of the images. I love that. And Pixify does not do that. So that's why I'm probably going to go back and start using InView for my invoicing. So, but it ties into my software, so that helps. Make sure if you do one thing that we do, and we've kind of learned the hard way, is I require that they get image proofs once things have been edited. We send them edited proofs for them to look at to make sure that we didn't miss any special edits, to make sure. Now, granted, we do so much volume during Santa time that we want to make sure that, like, where there's supposed to be magic, there's magic. and that, like, something weird hasn't happened. Like if he's had to replace somebody's face to make sure that's correct. So I make them, they get image proofs, they get a proof of a card, any cards that go out, they get proofs of albums. So they have 3 different levels of proofing that they go through with us. And until it's been approved, I don't order anything. So if you're doing things like that, make sure that you communicate, and let them know about the process and how that process goes. Maybe show them an example of the screen on how, this next year I'm going to record a video and show them this is how, just a little quick little loom that's like 30 seconds. It shows them the the approval process on how to go in and what buttons to push and what to look for, because I think that will help. Because you have to remember, some of the people that come in, they're not tech savvy. They have no clue. That's really difficult for them. So just make sure you're explaining and give them clear expectations and clear directions on how to do that. Give them directions multiple times. Show them in the sales room what the screen looks like. Send them directions on exactly what to do. And then if you can create a video, that's to me, that's even a bonus. Because think about it. If you're like me, I sit on the couch and watch reels all night long. I watch, cat videos, and Chris is always laughing at me saying he thinks everything I'm watching is a cat video, but it's just those little reels. So make them a little reel on how to go through the approval process or the ordering process or whatever it is. I think those little videos will help. But let them know how many emails they'll get and who they're going to be coming from. The more you can prepare them, you're setting the expectations. Okay. Because then later, if you're like, oh, remember I told you you were going to be getting this email to check your junk if you didn't see something? And then they go, oh, yeah, forgot about that. Yeah. Everybody's got to check their junk now because all the email companies are getting, they're trying to get rid of all the spam stuff for you. So now they're putting the stuff that you need in spam. So always tell them to check their spam folder. Okay. And sometimes it just doesn't go through for whatever reason, or they just miss it. And that's okay. You can resend it to them, but at least they know that that's coming. Let's see here. Do we have any questions at this point? Laura, do you think? We try to have them sign, but if it was just me here, I would probably have someone sign. But I've found through the level of help that we have between, most of the time it's just me and Chris, and sometimes during Christmas we've had up to 3 helpers in the studio at a time. It's not consistent on whether we get someone to sign it. So, but if I have somebody comes in, I will mark down when they came and pick something up. We used to have them sign all the time, but then we realized that half the time, if it wasn't me giving it to them and having them sign it, it just wasn't getting signed. So, but I definitely would have a workflow. In your workflow, have a way for you to know when something's picked up, whether it's you check a box or you're having someone else sign it, so that way you can see. I think that definitely helps kind of where it is in the status. But even in my own workflow, we use Pixify for our workflow or for our CRM. Let me just show you what I do in here. And this is my favorite. This is probably my favorite feature about Pixify. Let me show you. Let me share my screen again. Okay, I don't know what's going on with these emails. I got to look at that. So I'm getting some little message saying that my staff emails aren't going in this program. So this is not what we use for the emails that we're going out to y'all. Can y'all see my screen?
Yes, sorry.
Perfect, thank you. So you'll notice on here, the part that I love about Pixify is this little checkbox list. To me, it's like having a whiteboard where you can check all the little areas, going down. So I can see all these are all my different little tasks. I can tell when a session's been completed, when something's up to date, when there's a review. I mean, there's so many different things, and that it kind of just depends on. I can tell if somebody's orders, if their cards have been ordered. I can tell if if nothing's been ordered. A lot of times we're just waiting on people, but then I know at a glance what the status is on stuff. Like this one here, like this is not true. I need to update this one on this 1078 Maribel Medina. I know all of her products are here. I just forgot to check it off. But see, now I've done this, and I know I've notified her too. So we've notified the client. Now this is going to come off my workflow. So it just helps me because I know when a client's picked up their orders, then I check it off my workflow, and then I can just look at this. So I don't have to worry as much about the signature on that. But I do think that is if you're the only one in there, or there's only one or two of you, and you're both really good at doing those things, then I would absolutely have them sign off on picking that up. But I wish Mr. Fritchie was more disciplined about that part, but he's just not. So you just have to go with what you can do. So let me go back to here. I'm going to stop sharing that now. Go back to here. Now let me look at my list. Let's see here. Does anybody have any questions on any of that? It looks like we're all good on that. Why don't we take a 5-minute break? I need to step into the ladies' room for a second. So let's take a 5-minute break, stretch our legs, and then we will come right back. That's not okay? Okay, guess I'll have to go pause it on Chris's computer. All right, so let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Thanks.
Okay, so as we are back from the little break, let's any questions, any follow-up, anything that you still have concerns, questions, things that you are hoping we cover that we've not covered yet, that type of thing. No. Let's hear. I'd like to hear some objections that you feel like you get, or questions that somebody might ask in the sales room that make you a little uncomfortable. Anyone? Anyone have anything that they get from a client that makes it difficult?
Wanting to purchase 30 images in an album and then going, oh my gosh, this is so expensive.
Yeah, I mean that's common. You're going to have to learn to deal with those objections. But I think when Lori showed in our price sheet, or if you want to pull up your price sheet, when you're going over the pricing, when you're in between when they've narrowed it down and now you start talking about products, I think it's important that's where you show the pricing. You say, okay, well, an album comes with blah, 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 right? And then you say, what you tell people is there are, they go, oh, that's really expensive. I go, no, I don't disagree. That is a lot, but I want to make sure you understand what's behind that cost is there's our time for editing, that we have to edit all those images. And as we add more images to an album, it costs us more through the labs that we use as we add more pages. So that's an important factor. One of the things that you can offer is you can offer as a studio to put more images on a spread. Then I hate that I'm not looking at you guys. Let me pull this over here so at least I can see. And let me fix my camera. Hello, camera. I'm right here. There we go. Find me. There we go. So it's important to to know that, especially if it's a senior album, it's not uncommon for me to put on a spread, and everyone knows what a spread is, right? So that's 2 pages, make a spread, and that's how we design our albums, all on spreads. We don't design 1 page at a time. Everything's designed on a spread. And our Santa, on our limited edition, our heirloom, that's our top 2 album offerings. We only put 1 image per spread. Now we sell it romantically that because there's a lot going on in our image and the set's really big and the subjects are fairly small, we want that to print large on 1 spread so that you can see the expressions very easily when you open that album. So we only do 1 image per spread on our limited edition and our heirloom. And what it does for us is if somebody does want 20 or 25 images, then it is going to cost them more. So we make more money that way. But we have to edit more images and we have to add more pages to the album in order to deliver that. So Lori, you are on albums, but you went away from albums. You're on wall portraits. We're talking about albums.
I'm trying to get back there.
One page before or one page after that?
I'm scrolling.
So then can I control it? Here, why don't you let me share it instead of you?
How about that? Go back down.
We're not on albums, sweetheart.
I'm getting there. I forgot where it was.
Okay, now make it larger so we can see it. I can't see that. It's too small. Okay. Okay, so on our albums, if you see here, additional spreads under the classic album is $95. In our limited edition, it's $115. Now we tell them in the classic album, we can put as many as four images on a spread, but not in the limited edition. So if they're trying to save money and they really want that option and they're going to have 30 images, well, then maybe on a classic album, we can do, it comes with 10 spreads. So maybe if we're going to go to 12 or 13 spreads, the cost isn't going to jump up as much as if it is a limited edition album. But the limited edition album has the story, one image per spread. So every time we're doing that, we are adding 2 pages to an album per image that we add. Okay, does that make sense? Elaine, does that help, Lorraine? I don't know why I keep wanting to say Elaine, because you got the Ain on the end of your name. Yep. And it seems like I talk to Elaine every day.
Both of us, yeah.
So, okay, Laura, you can stop your share.
He has some great questions in the chat.
Okay.
So, the first one from Kathy. I didn't buy an album for my older child, so I can't get this for this child.
Yeah, and sometimes that. What I would say is you have to get to at some point you are going to have an uncomfortable conversation with someone. You're going to have to truly decide is what you're trying to show them and what you feel would be best for their work that you've created is an album. You have to get to the core and figure out, is it truly they can't afford it or they just don't want it? You can propose, Lori and I go to dinner tonight and we go have steak or something, and they have cheesecake, and the waitress says, "Oh, our cheesecake's really beautiful. It's wonderful." And the only other option would be a coconut cream pie. I don't want either one of those. So if they're really trying to convince me to buy a dessert, they're not going to have any luck because I just don't want it. So you have to decide. You have to get. We talked about to the highest level of discomfort. So I'm not afraid to ask someone. So you would say, well, if is it more about the price of the album? Is it more about that an album you just don't see that works for the delivery of your products on there? Is it more of your budget, or is it you just don't see an album being something that you would truly desire? And then if they say, well, yeah, it's a little more than I want to spend, then you can say, well, we do have an option where we can split payments. When you check out, you can use Afterpay or some of those options that can split it into 4 payments. And we also don't mind splitting things into payments for you as well. So what we would do is so what would work for you? Do you want to pay half now and in 2 weeks pay the balance? Would that work for you? So sometimes instead of automatically trying to give them less product and spend less money overall, can you figure out a way to make it where it's affordable to them? And affordable doesn't mean less, it just means a different way to pay for it. Does that make sense? We do that quite a bit. I mean, we've got about $8,000 to $10,000 in receivables out there right now from Santa season that we will collect. And every now and then, you just don't ever get paid. I mean, Delgado paid some, didn't they? But they've never received any of their edited files, have they?
Only the ones on they paid enough. They paid like $500. So they got enough for their Christmas cards.
Did we edit all of their images and send it to them, or just
No,
a few?
we only sent them the Christmas.
Okay, because we've got a client out there that owes us $1,000, or that committed to spending $1,000, but they've never paid their balance. We've sent them messages and they won't reply. So, that's business sometimes.
But we don't do anything.
Yeah, we've not printed their order. We're not out any cost. So, but we do try to get something up front. Do I have to decide today? Can I think about anything back to you? Sure, that's definitely an option. Can you tell me what the difficulty is, or why you're unable to make a decision today? And then this is really key. So if Lorraine and I are having this discussion, Lorraine, can you tell me what it is that's preventing you from making a decision today?
Well, I just didn't think it was going to be this much.
Oh, I understand. If we broke it into a couple of payments, would that make it easier for you? Is it more of a budget? I know Christmas is tough. We've all got lots of expenses, right? So
Yeah,
if we,
actually, payments would be really good.
so if we were, let's say if we put half down today, and then what if we put the rest in 2 weeks? Would that work for you?
Can you do next month?
Sure. Do you have a day that works best?
15th.
Okay. Yeah. Then we'll just go ahead. So we'll charge this today, and then we'll charge the rest on the 15th of this month. Does that work for you?
Yeah.
Okay. So notice a couple of things that I did there. In sales, there's an old adage: the first person who speaks loses. And that's kind of the old sales game. So if I say to Lorraine, I say, so Lorraine, it looks like you really want the album, but as you say, you're just not sure. So Lorraine, is it about budget, or is it about that you just don't think an album would work for you?
It was budget.
So you see what I didn't keep talking. I shut up, which is hard for me to do. When you ask that question, you need to, we're trying to find their level of discomfort. If you're honest and you're sincere with the client and they sense that, most of the time they will be honest and sincere with you. Well, I just really hadn't planned on spending that much. And I would go, I know, we get that a lot because people don't realize, the albums and the beautiful stuff that we do. So you're very much like most people that come in. They come in with something in mind and they realize that they want more. Does that match your situation?
Yeah.
Okay. So, but let me make sure I understand. You love the album, you love the wall portrait, you'd really like to have both of those. So if I could make it where it worked with your budget, then that's what you'd like to do?
Yes.
Okay. Great. Then how about if we do half now? We'll do half of the remaining amount in 30 days, and we'll do the balance in 30 days. Now, what I can do is I can go ahead and edit the images to get you your Christmas cards and your prints that you needed for grandma. I can go ahead and edit those few images, get those ordered so you can have those. And then once we settle everything up, then we can print your album and your wall portrait. Does that work?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, so you see how I didn't discount my price. I didn't give her a better deal. I didn't say, oh, well, if I could take $500 off, would you do it today? Right? It's not always about how much something costs. It's about how much they have to pay at that moment. Those are two different situations.
Mhm.
Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes.
Okay, so you got to find out. They may decide, and I guarantee you it happens at least once a year for us in 125 sessions. Someone's going to pay, and they're going to call when they get home, and they're going to either have a spouse that is upset that they spent that much, or they have buyer's remorse and they reduce the size of their order. That's business. Unfortunately, it is. And so you don't really have that money until 2 or 3 days later. And every now and then you're going to get someone with buyer's remorse. And they did that to us about 2 or 3 weeks ago. We went through the whole process. Their products hadn't came in, but they were late in the season. their stuff was shipping, and they threw a fit. They didn't have it yet, and they said, "Well, I had needed these for Christmas gifts." And then we had the documentation where we emailed them on the 21st, and the items that they had, the gifts, the regular prints, and the items that could come in quick were here. And we told them that it's a 4 to 6 week process on their album, because we have to edit the image, we have to lay out the album, they have to approve the album, then we have to order the album. And with everything we have going on, it's a 4 to 6. We tell them it's 4 to 6 weeks. And we were right in that time frame. And so they contested the entire thing with their credit card company. And we created a long document. We talked about this. And we got word back a couple of weeks ago, at least from our bank, that we won the dispute. So we haven't heard back from our merchant services account, but our bank has basically said, you've won. And if the merchant services like Square tries to take the money out of your account, we will not let them. We are protecting you as our client. You've showed the documentation. You did what you were supposed to do. So we will not let Square take money out of your account for that charge. So if that means we have to end a relationship with Square, we're willing to do that. But we've also got the bank on our side to argue to Square to say, look, our client did what they were supposed to do. This is simply someone who is trying to get a refund on custom products, and that's just not an option. So every now and then you are going to get those. We get at least one of those a year where someone, and usually what happens is a financial situation that occurred and they're trying to figure out how they can get some money, and they'll just contest. We're probably not the only person that they're contesting or disputing charges to their card on purchases they've made in the last 6 months. So that's just a part of it. It has more of an impact when maybe you only had 2 or 3 orders that month and one of them does that to you. It has a much bigger impact on your business than if it's one of 125 orders. But it's still an impact on us, on any small business, when you have someone that's doing that. Okay. Any other questions in the chat? The do I have to decide today? I want to make sure if you weren't in, or if you haven't had a chance to see last month's, the way we do our pricing is they get a 10% discount on their order if they complete their order today, and we communicate that very strongly with them in that sales session when Lori is, I don't know that she's gotten to it yet, where she's finalized their order and she shows them their discounts and everything that they get. And so in that situation, I would say, yeah, well, if you just can't decide today, then let me reconfigure the price for you, because we do have this discount in to completing your order. Because if you don't decide today, then that discount doesn't apply. Usually what we'll say is, okay, so here's what it will be if you have to come back. But if you get home and you decide in the next 24 hours, we will go ahead and honor that 10% discount. There are going to be times where people don't pay. And Lori, what do I say when someone leaves here and doesn't pay? Do you remember? I usually say, we'll never hear from them again. We're not going to get the money. We will not get the money. And I'm right about 50% of the time. Sometimes there's nothing you can do. If they don't have the money, they don't have the money. It doesn't mean you did anything wrong or you could have done something better. It doesn't. That's just the business world. But you reduce the chances of that happening by following a lot of the steps that we've outlined. When they book their session, they get an email that has a link to your pricing. But when they sit down and they start going over them, you go over detail in the pricing and you show the pricing there, right? So what you might do is, I might have suggested, so do I have to decide today? So if Lorraine asks that, I said, well, it'd get you that discount. And I would say, well, what if we do this then, Lorraine? So you've got a wall portrait and an album picked out. Your total is $27.50. How about if we do this? How about if we do the album and the prints you need for grandma, and we finalize that today? And this would be the price. That's going to be $14.95. We'll do that. Then you're out the door. You've got it done. Then you take full advantage of the discount. Then in a day or two, if you really decide you want to go ahead and add that wall portrait back in, I'll add it back in at the price that we've quoted here. So you still get savings on the other items, but I'll let you add that album in a couple of days, or that wall portrait in. It takes your order back to that 2,500 in a few days. If you decide you want to go ahead and do that, that way we can go ahead and start the process of ordering your images and making sure we get everything here by the deadline that you requested. So now what I've done is I've at least gotten a sale. I'm getting something, right? Plus, don't forget, they've already got the credit of $300 or whatever they paid towards their session fee. And that's a good reason, to me, that's a good reason why you charge $300 to book the session and you give them a full credit for that. Because now they've got to at least spend the $300. If you treat it as a session fee, once they're done, they don't feel like they're owed anything. So we've built the session fee into our price so that now when they come in, they're going to want to pick something out, right? So they're going to place an order of some kind, even if it's any more, we get no more money. They just use their $300. But that's also where I could have said, Lorraine, so we just do the album and the print so that you've got your gifts. We can start editing these 11 images. Plus, don't forget, you've got your $300 credit that will apply to that. So instead of it being $1,500, it'll be $1,200 today. So why don't we go ahead and do that? And then we can add the wall portrait in next week or your next paycheck. And I'll go ahead and set that aside. I'll make a note so Lori knows to give you the same discount if we add that wall portrait in next week.
Okay.
All right. So get creative. All of y'all know the owners of your business. I bet you can get permission to do off the wall things. Right? Now, Rob, your salespeople might not be able to do that. But remember, the answer isn't always, okay, well, let me give you a discount. In fact, I would tell you, use an incentive. You can always use an incentive. Well, Lorraine, you said, you're at 2,500 and that gets you your wall portrait, your album, and your prints that you wanted for your desk and your husband's desk. You'd mentioned some items for grandma and grandpa. What if I went ahead and included 2 extra premium prints, those that are $150 each, $300? I'll go ahead and include those at no charge. So you can have those as gifts to give to your grandparents. Now you've got them. Now you've got the parents taken care of for Christmas. You've got all of y'all taken care of for Christmas. How does that sound? Do we want to go ahead and do it that?
Yeah, I like that a lot.
So you see how I sat there and waited for her to reply?
Yeah. I wanted to see how long you would keep quiet.
Yeah. I'm just going to sit there. I have to sit there and wait.
That's fair though, because he doesn't sit quiet very often.
No, it's hard. Okay. So I used to, when I was at Pitney Bowes and sales manager, and I'd go on a call with a salesman, it was my rule that they had to sit right next to me when we were doing the presentation to the CEO or whoever we were doing. And I let them do the talking. I'm there to coach them, to support them, and to help them. And when I felt like they were talking too much, I would kick them under the table. And I would tell them, if you're talking too much, I'm going to kick you or I'm going to step on your toes. And I'm better in that sales room than I am in person with talking a little less, a little bit. I still talk too much. But I made that mistake. I can remember it this day like it was yesterday. We had a great call. We had a perfect solution for this client. And when we walked in and sat down, the CEO of the company sat at the end of the table and my salesman sat opposite side of me. And I sat here. And I couldn't reach him to kick him because he was talking himself out of the order. And I got outside and his name was Ed Reyna. And so mad. Ed, you have to effing shut up. You did not give the client time to say yes. You did not give the client time for us to understand what his pain was, what was preventing him from doing the deal right then.
Well, and it's very similar when you're teaching, when I was teaching middle school math, you have to give wait time for the students. You have to make them feel uncomfortable, like you're not going to talk until they give you an answer.
And you'll see Lori chimed in right there. I did the same thing. I sat there after I said what I said, and I let that awkward silence hang. because you want to put them in a situation where they feel like the next move is theirs. Right? Perfect. So we're all going to sit here and get awkward. Okay. I'm going to turn it over to you again for a little bit. Okay.
So there's, are you getting feedback?
Not too much. It helps if you mute.
No.
Okay. Well, I can repeat the question. You were looking at something in the chat, I think.
Do you save these? Can I get these now and come back more for later? For more later.
Yeah. So we hang on a second, Lori. So, yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. So Lorraine, what we do is, once a client places an initial order with us, we guarantee those images for a year. If no order is placed, then typically we delete those images after 30 days. We delete those images after 30 days. Luke, I am your father.
And then they also asked, my husband wasn't able to come today. Can I go home and show him the ones I'm thinking about choosing?
Well, unfortunately, Lorraine, it only takes one or two people to mess things up for the rest of us. You know how that is. So unfortunately, when we have allowed clients to take the images and show them at home, people screenshot them and they save them. And since these images aren't edited, we don't want what they look like out there in the world, in the community, to represent the type of work that we do. So unfortunately not, but we could definitely call him and get him on the phone or in a quick Zoom and show him the images. Or if you want, you're more than welcome to do a FaceTime with him, and you can show him on your phone the video. You can show him what you're looking at. And if you prefer me to step out of the room for a couple of minutes, that I don't really like doing, because people will take pictures of the picture.
Yep.
Right. But if somebody's going to be dishonest, they're going to be dishonest. Right.
Well, no, a lot of times what I'm finding is that most of the time they just want their spouse to be involved in the pictures that are going to be up on the wall. So I'm always like, don't worry, we're going to pick the ones, we can pick the ones that we know that you want. And then before we order your wall portrait, then you can tell me which image you want on the actual wall portrait. Because a lot of times that's really what they're concerned with, on what images they want on which prints. I'd rather have that all in the same sales session, get all that nailed out. But if that's what's holding them back, we can pick out the images we're going to edit. They can pay, and then we can figure out which images that were already edited goes on the specific product. So that usually gets rid of a lot of that undecisiveness, I guess. Okay, so one thing I want Chris to talk about is, because we talked about sweetening the deal with an upsell. So, you've got where he talked about going in and saying, well, we can include those gift prints for grandma, or, things like that. But you can also do things, don't forget to upsell things like upcoming sessions. So an upcoming family session, we usually do a booking special when they're in the sales room, and they get a family session for a discounted rate. And then the products from that session, they get a discount on. So like we pre-sold some fairy sessions during Santa season. And so they got, a discounted session rate, and then they're going to get, a 50% discount off of the products for that session. So those things work. Plus it's in booking you future work and more sessions. So those are a good thing. But there's also an upsell that is new that we're doing. I know Chris has talked a little bit about that. Chris, can you talk to him about how we kind of use the iPack as an upsell?
Yeah, we talked about.
I can't hear you, Chris. You're muted.
Now I'm not. Okay, so you can hear me. So Lori, grab that portrait of the little boy with the registration on it. So if y'all weren't here last time, the IPAC is becoming something that that is really big with our presentation and our upsizing orders, or also providing a level of credibility with our clients. It's huge. I can't understate it enough. And the parents just absolutely love it, especially like with the image that I showed y'all. So let me share my screen here. So like this image here, that this is the final one that we're going to enter in print competition today. So this one will register with the IPAC, and then we'll tell the story, whatever the mom wants on this. But we use the IPAC, and let me stop my share. We use the IPAC at the very end of the session, and it'll go something like this. So Lorraine, I'm going to use you again as my client. So you've already made the decision that you want to do a wall portrait.
Yes.
Right. And so now what I'm going to do, and this speaks directly to our that class that we're going to be doing, the fine art class and the embellishing class. This is where the tool that we use to upsell clients to that offering, and they see it in the studio. It's gorgeous. It's, for those that don't know, it's where we will hand paint an image like this. We'll do this style, and that's the style that you're going to learn when we do that class. And then we print it in studio, we mount it, and then we add brush strokes to it. So we put physical brush strokes on the image, and it's gorgeous. And they retail on our website for about $5,000. So just like tonight and just like today, we've got someone coming in at 2:30, and I'm going to have to tweak some of their images. Kind of once we get down, and if we kind of see that mom is leaning toward a wall portrait, we'll go, Mom, let me share one of the things that we do with this type of portrait and a lot of our portraits. We are members of an organization called the IPAC. You probably haven't heard of it. It's a fairly new organization. So Mom, what we do is we will take your digital art that we've created for you, and we will register it with the IPAC. And then I would show them this here. So, and I said, here's an example. We've got a big wall portrait of this in the studio. And I would turn it over and say, Mom, so what we would do is we would put the title of your image that you and I come up with, the creator of it, and a serial number. And we register it online. But think of it as an online art gallery. And in there, it'll say whatever you want to say about the image. And we can talk about it. And the purpose there is telling the story behind the image that future generations of yours will get to learn about you and that day, the kids at those ages, whatever you want to put in there, Mom, that's totally up to you. And that's great. You'll get a certificate of authenticity. You'll get a packet, and you're going to want to put that packet in a safe place, preferably a fireproof safe, or wherever you keep your will, safety deposit box, something like that. Because here's the cool part. Mom, let's just say in 50 years from now, 60 years from now, your daughters are having a conversation with their daughter, and her grandkids, your great grandkids, find this portrait in the attic, and it's damaged. And the kids go, Mom, look what we found. We found this old picture. And they look at the back of it and go, we went to the back of it, and we went to this website. Mom, this is Grandma. This is when Grandma was a little baby, or Grandpa when Grandpa was little. And then Mom would say, oh, yeah. And they would talk about it. They go, oh, that's so beautiful. Oh, but look, it's damaged. And then Grandma's going to go, oh, but you know what we can do? Because it was registered, we can get that reprinted, and we can get it replaced, even if the photographer, the creator, is long gone. And when I say long gone, maybe they won the lottery and they're in Cancun, or they're on Cozumel, or they're in Hawaii, or they're in the Swiss Alps, and they don't do photography anymore. Because I can promise you, if I win the lottery, I'm not going to be sitting here teaching a class anymore. I'm not going to be photographing children, right? I'm not going to be fighting 2-year-olds in a Santa session. No, I'm going to be in the mountains somewhere. But the good thing is any work that we register, if something happens to it and it's lost or damaged, it can be replaced. So it's an incredible insurance policy for our clients. And our clients absolutely love that idea. They absolutely love it. So We tell them that it's $299 to register their image with the iPack, and they get all of that. But then what we do is we say, Mom, so let me share what a lot of our clients do is a lot of our clients will choose our heirloom offering. And that's where we take the editing to that next level, like we do with our competition prints that have won so many awards, like this one over here, Mom. That was the best portrait of a child in the Texas Professional Association and the Georgia Association. And they'll go, wow. We will do that same editing technique on these. That's our top level editing technique. Then what we do is we add the brush strokes to it. And those portraits are normally $5,000. We include the registration of that with that at no charge. Same thing with our limited edition albums, our heirloom albums. We include that protection for you, Mom, on the investments that you're making in these artworks. We provide that protection to you where those items can then be replaced, even if I'm gone. So maybe it's Mom, you're going to order one portrait that you've got of you and the two girls that are in here today, but maybe in 10 or 15 years when they get older and they move out and they have their own homes, maybe you'd like to get a copy of those portraits for each of them. Well, it doesn't matter if I'm here or not. You just take that paperwork, you go on there and you request to get a copy made of those. And you can do that. That's a huge selling feature. But what it says is you care enough about what you do for your clients that you're protecting their investment. That is a huge bonus that you have in a sales session that no other photographers have right now. None. They do not have that. So if you're a member, your page is up there, your bio's up there, the images you've seen up there. And I'm happy to say that Lorraine has become a member of the IPAC. And she is about to have her bio and everything put up there and start offering this as part of a process of her selling, part of her in-person sales. This is the best thing that's happened to us with our sales in the last year by offering this to clients.
So as a customer, I'm going to ask, okay, so if I purchase this, I can't really do the heirloom. I want to get the $299. So let's say they find it in the attic and it was damaged. I want to get a new one. Am I paying the $5,000 again?
No, that's so this is, so let me say this. So as a member of the IPAC myself, and as lead ambassador for it, what we are communicating with other potential members and what we have decided is I've made my profit on this, right? The purpose of the IPAC is to protect it, but it's also to have a place where they can go and share that with friends and things. So instead of sharing just the digital file on social media, they'll share that link. That's pretty cool. So what we tell photographers is look, while you're still around and while you're still in business, there's no need for them, if it's lost or damaged, to have it reprinted through the iPad. They just need to work with you to have it recreated, and you charge whatever you want to charge. And I'm looking over here because that's where my screen is. Lorraine, so if you're still around, you're still in business, and they want another copy or it's damaged, you're going to work with them on that. And that's where you decide for your business, however you're going to do it. What I would tell photographers to do in that situation is, Lorraine, you tell them, well, look, let's have a conversation with your insurance company that $2,500 fine art portrait that was created for you was damaged. And what I'll do is I'll be happy to just charge you whatever the insurance company, I will, whatever the insurance company covers is what I'll charge for you. So if you have a deductible, I'm not going to charge you. So if it was $2,500, your deductible is $1,000, then we'll just I'm happy with the insurance company just paying $1,500, and that's fine. Once I'm gone, I'm more concerned that I was so invested and had so much belief in what I'm doing that I registered with the IPAC. So my agreement with the IPAC is simply, look, the IPAC, whoever's running it at the time, they're going to interact with the client. They're going to know what. So Lorraine, when you submit an image, you're going to put, well, I sold this to them. It was a gallery wrap canvas, a 24 by 36 gallery wrap canvas. The IPAC's going to have that information. So the IPAC's going to say, okay, Lorraine's customer, now that Lorraine's no longer with us, it looks like it was a 24 by 36 gallery canvas. Is that what you would like to replace it with? There's other options. That new technology, there's things that are cool now that And they go, yeah, no, that's fine. Let's just replace it with that. Okay. So what the IPAC is going to do is they're going to reach out. If the lab that Lorraine's originally ordered it from is still in business, they're going to reach out to that lab because Lorraine has provided that information when she registered the image. They're going to reach out to that lab. They're going to get a cost. They're going to call the client back and they're going to tell that client, okay, so what we're doing is we're just going to charge you cost plus 20% to replace that. And so because all of the work has been done on the image already. So we're not recharging you for the shoot. We're not recharging you for the editing. All of that's been done. And so we're charging you cost plus 20%. The 20% goes to the IPAC just to help keep it funded so that it can stay in existence for others like yourself to protect the work. Because I don't care. When I'm long gone, there's not going to be enough of these things that happen where I'm worried about my heirs making money off of work that I already made money off of. So to me, that's the right thing to do. Does that make sense? I know Lorraine had to step out for a second or turn her camera off. Does that?
I'm just eating.
Okay. Does that make sense, Lorraine, though? And that's what we tell the clients. Look, what they're going to do is they're going to replace it at cost plus 20% from the lab because I've already made off of as an artist, I've already made what I needed to make off of this. So there's no need to do that. Now, what the IPAC might say is, well, so Lorraine, I know you're calling your mom had this image, your grandmother had this image made of her years and years ago, and now you have it and it's damaged. Do you think your insurance covers any of the cost of that? Right? So if you would like to file a claim on your insurance, then we would be happy to work with them. And whatever they pay compared to the original price, we'll accept that, or we'll charge you at cost plus 20%. If we go through the insurance company, yes, the IPAC makes a little bit more money, but it just helps fund the IPAC so that it can stay in existence.
Gotcha.
Because we want it to be something that is there for everyone. As lead ambassador, that's how the founders of it have communicated the goal of it.
Perfect.
Okay, so that's a big deal for us. And if anyone is interested, there is a founder's price going on right now that is over half price, and it includes registering 10 images if you decide you want to do that. Okay, any other questions? I know that sounds like a sales pitch for the IPAC, but it kind of is. But it's there's not anything else out there that's protecting our legacy. There's nothing out there that's protecting our work that we do for clients. And we're
giving it a story.
Yeah, it's phenomenal for us. It's really fantastic. Yes, John. IPAC has relationships with all the print labs, so that the IPAC has an administrator that will contact. So if Lorraine had originally ordered that, say through ACI, and ACI is no longer around, then they'll go, great. We've got relationships with all of the labs. We've got accounts set up with all the labs. Give me a couple of days and I'll come back with some options for you. That's how that would work.
And when someone submits an image into the to be in the registry, we ask in the form that they submit, we ask for the medium or the material that it was originally delivered in to the client and what size it is. So that way we have a better idea of what the deliverable was to the client. So that way, if we need to recreate it, and it also underneath that question, IPAC I'm a we person. So when you also give the description of the product that was delivered, and then you also underneath there's a place for your preferred lab. So that way they'll have a true idea if they need to reorder something of really what the expectation was to begin with on what that original product was.
Okay, yeah, so I shared my screen just so you guys can see this. So this is the website here. I know that there are still lots of changes going on the IPAC. Like this is a video, and for some reason that video is quit playing. So this is the info, but if you are looking to register an image, you simply come up here to register. You can become a member. And right now there's, you save $350 the first 100 people that do this. save 50% off. So it's only $349, and that gets you 10 images registered. And then that gets you is a bio page. So let's see, let's look at Cindy Arthur's. I don't think her bio page is completely finished yet. She hasn't gotten us everything, but it's got a picture of her. There could be a video that you put up here of yourself. It's got the awards and accolades, and then any images that you submit as a member are shown here. So if we go back to mine as the most complete, since I'm lead ambassador. So the only thing, we are going to add a video here about us in our studio. And then these are the sealed images here. The sealed image basically means it's been registered. So if I click on the fumble here, it shows here. And if I need to get this replaced, I go here to art replacement request. And here's where my client would type in the information and send it to the IPAC, and then the IPAC would be in touch with them. Does that make sense? So, so here's the story of the image. If they want to share this, they click share, and then they can share this anywhere they want to share this: Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, what have you. See? So that image has a permanent home with a story behind it, whatever you and the client want to put there. So it's a tremendous, tremendous value add. There's one of my daughter. So it's got the story here.
You can put the camera settings and all that.
Yep, put the camera settings, because it'll be kind of cool. Think about it. 100 years from now, if ancestors are looking at this, they'll go, "Oh wow, I can't believe they used a Canon R5. I can't believe that camera. Remember how that camera was blah blah blah, whatever." Right? But the part that I also I really love that now as an artist,
Good guy Phillips.
my legacy is here. This will be here indefinitely of who I am. Yeah. So Lori said, "Here's an image." So Guy Phillips is the president of TPPA, and IPAC is looking to sponsor TPPA's print competition this year. The IPAC is sponsoring MPI's and Wyoming's, and most likely Arkansas's. So I don't see why it won't. We're just waiting on board approval from TPPA. But this is a powerful story here. So Guy Phillips is the president of the Texas Professional Photographers Association, and his wife, Janet, passed away January 22nd from cancer. And Guy is not a member yet, but he wanted to register this image. And so I agreed to register because the IPAC is talking with TPPA about their print competition, and the IPAC is officially revealing itself to the world at Texas School with a booth. So this is an image that I'll read. It says, "Everything I hold dear resides in those eyes." I may get teared up. I always do on things like this. I've known Guy. I worked with Guy at Pitney Bowes, so I've known Guy for 25 years. So September 16th, 2018, I received a new photographic toy for my birthday and wanted to see how it could look. I asked Janet to step in for a few minutes just to fire off a few quick shots. Janet never cared for this image. In her mind, her hair was a mess. Her makeup wasn't quite right. But that's not what I saw. I saw the eyes that could always take my breath away. With a simple glance my way, she made every day better. There's always been good reason to introduce her as my much better half. The most beautiful woman I've ever known, and the best friend I could ever ask for. June 22nd, 2022, Janet's life was cut way too short by cancer. More than 37 shared years of the best life I could ever imagine may be over, but I can still feel her deep within, hear her voice, feel her touch when I look into her eyes. So do you know why Guy wanted this image on here? He wanted this image on here because he's got this portrait hanging in his home. But when I was talking to him about sponsoring TPPA and the IPAC and their print competition, that's when he said, I love this. Would you register this image of Janet? And I said, I'd be happy to. He said, because if something happens to him and the print on his wall is damaged, he would want his daughter to be able to get a copy of this if something ever happened to Guy. And so now Guy has this in the paperwork, and he can put it in a safe place to give to his daughter so that she could have this portrait recreated of her mom in the event that something ever happens to Guy unexpectedly. So, I mean, I almost feel that I'm letting my clients down by not giving them the opportunity to preserve the work that we're creating for them. If we believe enough to charge someone $2,000 or $3,000 for a picture to put on their wall, shouldn't we believe in it enough to register it and to provide them something that they can provide to their family legacy? That's where I am with my craft. That's how I want to protect my clients. I'll feel horrible. I'd feel horrible in 20 years if a family has a fire and they lose, their Santa album and they can't get it replaced because I'm gone. Guess what? Now I don't have to worry about that. I can register those pieces here. So on certain levels that our clients spend with us, we will be including this at no charge. It's our duty, I feel. Okay.
Clients really appreciate that. It's one of those things you don't know what you're missing until you learn about it. And once they learn about it, then they're like, wow, yeah, that's really important. But it's nice to have that service now that we can give to our clients and offer to our clients. But it does work as a great upsell because registering it as a member doesn't cost you that much. Yeah, it's $35.
Sure.
Once you're a member, then it's after your first 10 images that's included with your member registration. Then any images after that only cost you like $35.99. So $35. So that way it doesn't cost you that much. But you can charge the client for it, or it's something you can just do as a free upsell, which I think to me it's a gift.
Or yeah.
Yeah, or gift it to them. So and I think it's something that they really, really appreciate on that. All right, so let's see if there's anything else. Anybody have any questions about the IPAC that we can answer before we start kind of. Go ahead, Amatrice. Are you talking? Because I can't hear you.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay, no worries. Just making sure. All right. So, does anybody have any questions that we haven't, that's about anything today, or something that we haven't covered that you would like us to try to address?
Are you winding down?
Getting close to winding down. No questions? Okay. So let's see. I'm looking at my notes, and we've covered most of this. One thing I would suggest is after your sales session's done, you wrap everything up, you get everything ordered, and you're done with that client with that session. Send them some kind of a follow up. Send them some kind of a survey, or a thank you email for coming in, trusting them, trusting you with their memories. Give them something, because that will keep them engaged with you. Put them into some kind of a nurturing series email campaign, so that way you can continually reach out to them, every couple months or whatever, just because the more you do that, the more you're going to be in the front of their mind when they think that, oh, we need family pictures. You want them to think of you. So make sure that you're doing that. Keep in touch with them so they don't forget who you are. There's a lot of busyness in this world. And but it is tricky trying to find that in between where you're emailing them but not emailing them too much. So just try to reach out to them at least a couple times a year so they can remember you. And try to reach out and book some sessions, even if you're just providing value to them, whether you're learning about, you learn something new that's a tip for taking their own pictures on their cell phones. Send them a little camera tip or something that would help them. Give them something to be connected to you. That way they will continue to come back to you, and then continue to refer people to you. Let's see here.
So each. So let me. What are the?
He keeps losing his headphones. I'll mute.
Okay. So each month each deal we want to do an offer. We're extending the offer of the 4 classes for $299 through today. That ends today. Yeah, I am. Sorry. Oh, my camera moved. There we go.
Like we're looking at the bag of M&Ms on the counter in the back.
Oh, give me some M&Ms. I need some M&Ms. So anyway, I would challenge. I'll tell you what I'll do. I believe in the IPAC so much that what I'm willing to do is do at least anyone who signs up for the IPAC this weekend. We'd really like to get some of y'all doing that. I will include a 1 hour, no charge, one-on-one mentorship hour with you. If you want, we can go whatever you want to go over. We can go over helping you get started in print competition. We can go over anything that you want to learn for anyone that registers for the IPAC, and we will help you. We will help you through that journey of helping you tell that story to your clients. We can show you some techniques like with Video Bolt. Maybe next. What's the next lesson, Lori, that we're doing? What's the next in the series?
Marketing, I believe.
Marketing is the next one. So Video Bolt would be a good thing to share with you guys on how you can create some epic little short videos to promote yourself. We'll talk about that in marketing. Jeff Poole will be here. But anyone that registers for the IPAC, Lori, do they need a code? Do you know how it's set up? We'll within the next hour, if you go to the IPAC, do we use a code? Well, we will have the IPAC create a code that is Road to Magic, ROADTOMAGIC, and that will get you 50% off as a member of the IPAC. I would challenge you guys to think long and hard about doing that.
So it gets them that plus 1 hour mentorship.
Yes, so they'll get anyone who does that will get a 1 hour, and that's not a hard hour. I'm not going to cut you off at 1 hour. Well, if it runs longer, it runs a little bit longer, and we can work on whatever you want to work on. If you want to start working on your skills to painting an image, if you want to work on, like Lorraine, if we wanted to work on presentation and mats, if we wanted to lay out some groundwork for you to your journey through print competition to get your degrees, we can put together a roadmap of that. Whatever it is that y'all want to work on. If you want to work on setting up your pricing sheet so that we can help you with that, whatever you want to work on. And normally our 1 hour mentorships are $200 if you were just to buy one hour. So I'll do that at no charge as my commitment to. It's a powerful story to have when you're sitting there with a client. Even if you don't see as many clients as we do, if you're only doing 10 of those a year, that's fine. But it'll give you a powerful story to tell in your social media marketing once you join and once you have a few images registered. And I'll be happy to sit down with you and help you craft the story for those images and that kind of stuff. Okay.
You have a personal one you need to put on there.
Huh?
The flower portraits you've made for your mom.
Yep, I do need to put that one on there. Yep. Any questions on in-person sales? Did we bore y'all to death?
No.
John, I see you in the. Why do you prefer a projector over TV to show images? John, I don't. I hate the projector between you and me. We had another photographer that was sharing the studio with us, and even though we said, hey, you're sharing with us, it's our studio, so we're doing things our way. That I gave in on and got a projector because she really wanted a projector. I don't like the projector. The quality of the images is not as good on a projector. I would prefer to have a 85-inch television in there to use. So, do I have a minimum order requirement, Kathy? No, not really. We send our pricing for Santa season. We do. It's a $300 order. That's the big
Chris.
thing. Yes.
Oh, can I ask a question about the TV? Because I'm thinking about going to one. So you said an 85-inch. What I notice sometimes when I use a TV, the images can look a little crunchy. And I thought it was maybe due to the high def. Are you using a
No,
high def TV?
yeah, I am. Yeah, that's possible. So you're going to want to go into your settings on the TV and play with the contrast, play with if it has clarity or some of that in there, the brightness, those settings. What I would the way we did it that we found worked the best was we used Apple TV to connect the computer to the television. We felt like that was the most reliable way to connect. But we're Mac people, so if you're a Windows person, I'm not sure. But what I would tell you, the biggest thing on a television that drives me crazy is the ability to get the color to somewhat match. And if I notice color is off, then it is off. Me being a little bit colorblind. So I would say before you buy a television, take your laptop if you can, and go to Best Buy or wherever it is you're looking for a television, and plan on paying a little bit more to buy it in person versus just ordering it and having it delivered. But you want to be able to connect to that television and compare the color on your screen on what the images look like to what you're seeing on the television, and to see that you can adjust what controls the TV has to adjust the image so it's a fair representation of what your clients can expect. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
That's what I would do. I would connect, because we've got a television that we use in here. I don't remember what it was. A couple of times, something was down. I think the internet was down and we couldn't use InView, so we projected from Apple TV to the TV that is in our office area. And so I could not get this Sony TV adjusted. It was too contrasty and too bright, and I could not, no matter what I did, I could not adjust it. So I had to adjust my screen settings to match so that the TV looked fair, and then it looked terrible on my screen what I was looking at. Okay. So if you're going to do a TV, make sure that you get to test that television.
Thank you.
Sure. All right. Any questions? Any other questions? I know it's about 1:30. Kathy, we have started using, let me share my screen. Since we got time, let me share my screen. It's pretty cool. So I'm the lead ambassador for the iPack, and Lori has taken on kind of a part-time role with the iPack as a admin. So let me go to Video Bolt. John, that's what we're using is Video Bolt. It's not very expensive. I don't remember how much it is a month. Let me see. Why doesn't it sign in? I know it doesn't, right? Let me see. Oh, where is my sign in? Oh, why did it?
There we go.
Okay, yeah. So these are some. So here's one that we did. So I'm gonna go ahead and edit this one. And so let's see if I play this. Can y'all hear it? I can't hear it. Okay, yeah. For some reason, it's not playing the music, but it's really, really simple. So let's just go. Let me go back. So what you can do is you can. I want templates. I can browse all. What video type do I want? Let's see. I want a branding video. What industry? I'm in the photography industry. Style. Let's see. I want it to be energy. Okay. Format. I want it to be portrait. Like if I'm going to do a reel, I would select that. Then my duration, maybe I want it to be 6 to 15 seconds. Okay. And resolution, let's just say 2K or whatever. And let's hit enter. And
that is so much easier than Animoto.
What's that?
That's so much easier than Animoto.
Yeah. So for some reason, though, didn't find what I was looking for. So it didn't have. Yeah, I know something's acting weird. So let me just do here. Goodness gracious. Let me back up. I don't know why it's doing that. Every now and then it's done this before. Something's going on with their site. Okay, so photography, let's just try cinematic. Okay, so now it's showing me different options. Format, let me see if it'll do portrait. Okay. Duration. Let's do 15 to 30 seconds. So it's given me these 5, so I can come over here, click on it, and now I can let it play. And I'm not sure why it's not playing the music. Let me see. Let me see it. Maybe
probably just because you're using your microphone for Zoom.
Yeah, and here, let me see if it. Yeah, that's probably why. But sometimes it won't have the music. But there's quite a few different options here, and it's not real expensive. And I would say don't worry about getting hung up in the genre, what world it's in. You might pick HR services, whatever, and there may be a video here that you like this one here. So if I play this, and then if I want to edit this, then I'll come in here and let's say I edit it. And I've already got some stuff loaded in here, so I can come in here. I'm going to call this test. And I have I've already built a brand kit, Magic Makers Academy. So I'll go create project. So what it's going to do is it's going to pick colors that I've already saved and is actually going to have my logo in here. So it's pretty cool. I can come in here and I can put, I'm going to say family fine art sessions. Okay. I'm going to save that. Okay. And what it's doing right now is it's playing through the whole thing. And so now I can come into media 1. I can put my text. I can add media. I'm going to click add. And I'm going to add an image. And I'm going to go to my media library. Let's see what images I have. There was guys where we were working on that iPack one, right? Let me see what's in here. If I have anything in this folder. Yeah, so let's take this Santa picture and we'll select it. Okay. Right. So it's adding it in here. And I'm going to take this back to the beginning. Let's see here. See, it says family fine art there. We'll give it a second. It's got a render. There you saw where it is. So I needed to crop that image. So let's crop this. And you have to play around with the settings to get it to work right. But you can see it's pretty. So I don't know why it's got that off center right there. So in this one, I might want to pick something different. But you would go through here. This has got all these different scenes, and you can put in studio right there. And I would hit save. And then it would put on the bottom of that deal in studio. We can put, anyway, I think you get the idea. And then you can take and add your audio here. And you can upload your audio if you have a stock site that you use. I use Stephen Arnold Music, but it's because they're a client of mine, and so they give me access to their library. But you can find other library places that you can get free music and stuff like that. And so there's all kinds of different templates, and took me about half a day of playing around with this to really kind of figure it out. But then what I do is then I take and save this video, I export it. And for now, I'm using iMovie. So I'm creating all of my videos right here in iMovie. iMovie is so simple and anybody can learn to use it. And so any videos that y'all have seen me produce lately, I've done them all right here in iMovie. Let's see if this, yeah, so it's not playing the music either for some reason. I guess it's because I'm,
part you created in
yeah,
Video Bolt.
yeah, this intro here we created in Video Bolt, this part right here. And I added my own music to it. So for whatever reason, I'm not sure why it's not playing. Probably because the headphones and we're connected to Zoom through the audio. So that is Video Bolt.
But if you're talking, if Kathy is, hold on, let me unmute.
Kathy, if you were talking about the slideshow that I was showing in InView, that will create the slideshow in InView. So just in case that's what you were talking about, right. You can create a slideshow of the images in InView. So, and you can customize that as well. You can change the music. You can do those things in InView. It's hard to say. So hopefully that answered your question on that.
Yeah, and one of the things we didn't talk about, if you don't have InView, I used to use Lightroom. So for example, right here, this is a client that we've got that's coming in here in a little bit. And so I've gone in and picked out, so I shot 97 images. These are my 24 that I'm going to show the client. I'm going to rename these. Here, look, let me cover this real quick, Lori. Did you talk about Lightroom? And no. Okay, so one of the things that we do, it's not connected. I need to reconnect it, but see, right now it's missing a plugin because I had to reset my Lightroom, but I can install the InView plugin. And so what happens is from Lightroom, I can create the client gallery in InView straight from Lightroom. Makes it really, really simple. I'll remind me that I'll have this working next time. But so what's really important to do though is, so now I've got these are the 27 images we're going to show the client. I'm going to rename these. So my shortcut in Lightroom is function F2. And I have a custom preset built for renaming photos. It's called InView Rename. So I'll type in this client's name. It's Hudson. And then I'm going to start with image 101. And I'm going to rename all of these. But if you look down here where it says the example, it says Hudson 101. I don't put a dash or an underscore or a space. Everything is just like you see here. No special characters, no asterisks, no pound signs, just letters and numbers. And they have to, no spaces. All right. So when I do this, now I've renamed all these. So Lori, so let me see. Let me go into Pixify real quick. That's going to be the easiest place to show you guys. So what happens is as soon as Lori does as soon as Lori's finished doing the sales session, there is a place where she can go to InView on what images the client selected, and she will copy. So you just copy those numbers, and then I come over here to workflow, and let's see. I think it's right here. Lori puts in these comments. See these file names right here that this client ordered. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to copy those. This is one of the coolest features of InView, and this is the number one reason that I use InView. That I like it. I'm going to go back to my Santa. This was Santa last year. So let me pull up my Santa catalog in Lightroom and I'll show you all real fast. So that was 901 McFarlane. Was that the previous year or was that this last year? So let me find, where is Santa 2022? I don't remember where that catalog is. So let me pick a different client. Sorry, guys, because that was their images from the previous year. Let me find here. We'll just do this client here. So we're going to take client number. So when I do Santa, I always start off with a client number. So this was our 1096 Santa session. So I'm going to go to 1096 Cthulhu. Now I'm going to scroll down here to my sessions and I'm going to find that client. So let's just pretend that Lori has done that. So now I'm going to put it in grid view, and and now I'm going to come up here. I'm going to click. I go to text. I go to contains, and now I paste in those file names. And look what it did. It gave me the 15 images that Lori sold right there. So I don't have to go in and flag. Okay, I don't have to look at a piece of paper and go, oh, they bought image number 101. They bought image number 104. I don't have to look through hunt and peck to find which image. Come here, you. I don't have to hunt through and pick. I just copied and pasted the notes from InView that Lori put in our deal. And now I can take and create a gallery. So I would go right here. Let's say, for example, I would create a new folder. I'm going to put this 08 sold images. Okay. And now these are the images that I know I have to edit for that client. So it's moving. For some reason, it hung up there. Our network must be running slow. But see, now I'm moving all of the sold images from that client into a folder so I know which ones were sold. So that's a great feature in InView, especially if you're using Lightroom. If you name them correctly, you don't put a space, then it will find them in the search. So the key things that you have to do is you have to be in library mode. You have to be in the grid view. Okay, so I'm going to clear this out. Okay, and so now let me move these back. I'm going to move those back to their gallery. This was the gallery that we showed. So this was one of our mini sessions. I don't really even call them, I call them express sessions. So I only showed the client 30 images, right? So these are the 30 images we showed them. I can't be in this view. I have to be in the grid view like this. And I click on text. I wish it would default to contains. It defaults to contains all. You just want to click contains. You come in this little box, and now I paste by hitting Command V on a Mac, and it's put all of those file names. And there's the 15 images that were sold. It makes it that easy to pick out which images the client paid for, because they're not all in sequential order. Here's 105, 107, 108, 109, 111, 112, 116, 117, right? So that's one of our ways of making our workflow be efficient, and it also prevents us from making mistakes where I don't accidentally select the wrong image because I read it wrong on the piece of paper or wasn't paying attention. It makes it mistake proof when we're selecting images that we have to edit. Okay, if you don't want to use InView, you can absolutely come in here. So if this is my client gallery right here, let me clear out the rating. I'm going to set the rating to 0, set rating to none. So just like Lori did, this is how I did it for years. So I would come in here, I could do a slideshow. I could go right here to slideshow, and I could hit play. So this is how we used to do in our in-person sales if we didn't want to purchase InView or we already had Lightroom, or if the internet's down, because Lightroom InView is cloud-based. So if the internet's down but you still want to do a sales session and you need a backup plan, then as you can see here, now we're playing a slideshow and the client's doing it. And I can even, if the client says, "Oh, I love that one, that is so gorgeous," I'll hit the number 5. Look in the lower left when I hit the number 5, see how at 5 started. Okay, I can also flag it as a pick. So it's put it up a little pick. If I don't like that flag, I can pick it. I can hit U to unpick it. All right. So let me get out of the slideshow. Get out of the slideshow. Go back to library. So then when I go back to showing the client, I can minimize these sidebars so the clients don't see these. Where did it go? Right here. Okay. So they don't have to see that. And I can enter into full screen. So as we're going along here, say, "So Mom, let me find out where we started here." Okay, I'll come over here is where we start. So I'll go to full screen. "So Mom, is this a yes or no?" If she says yes, I'll hit the letter P, and it put a flag on it. So I'm just going to go through here. No, yes, no, no. Yes, I love her smile on that one. Isn't that great? Oh, you got to have the praying one, Mom. Can you believe she's stealing the cookie? That's so cute. I'll hit the letter P, pick. She's looking at magic now. That's okay. Yeah, that's cool. I like that she beat Santa in tic-tac-toe. Okay. Still, she just saw her name on the nice list. Okay, there's a magic. Oh, I love that one. Okay, yep, that's good. No, I don't want the ball picture. I come back over here. I go to my filter. I hit this, and now you can see these are the 9 images that they picked. Right? So you can do the same thing in Lightroom. You can do similar in Lightroom. It doesn't have all of the features. It doesn't have room view. There's definitely some features that it doesn't have, but this should be your backup in case of an emergency where internet's down and you still need to do a sales session or do a image reveal or what have you. And that's how we did it. That's how we did it our first 5 years. Probably our first 5 years in Sanda, we did all of them in Lightroom. The problem with it is that for me, it tied up a resource. It tied up a computer where all I have to do for the sales room is, y'all saw the trouble we ran into. That's an old computer. We don't edit on it. We don't run Photoshop on it. We don't do anything on that computer. It just goes to the internet. So we clearly are probably going to have to update that one because we were having trouble in there earlier. All right. So this Lightroom is our backup presentation. Any questions?
Why do you start renaming 101?
I just do. The reason that you rename your images is because you don't want to show gaps. Never, ever. This is important. This is a big part of in-person sales. If I didn't rename those images, the client's going to notice a gap. So if you show them straight from the camera, let's just say you shot 50 images during the session, but you're showing them 30. And when it goes to image, and say your camera started with whatever it is, and it goes, the last 3 digits are 765. and then the very next image comes up as 768, that client's going to say, well, where are those other 3 images? I want to see those. And now all of a sudden the client wants to see all of your images and wear you out. So that's why you always rename your files before the sales session, before you create the images that you're going to show them. You rename those, so when they see those file names, they're sequential, so they don't even think to realize that you're not showing them all of the images. Does that make sense? That's an important factor in this. Okay? The code for IPAC is Road to Magic. And Lori is going to make sure that there is a code set up in there. There's some, if you look at the blog, there's some good blog posts. There's one of an image I created of a trombone player in New Orleans. That's a really good blog post to read to show you how you can increase your sales with the IPAC. So I can't be, as crazy as it sounds, the IPAC is the thing I am the most passionate about in my career right now. And about not just providing it for my clients, but also educating photographers in the tremendous value that it brings. What's that?
I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, it's a game changer. Yeah, it was a game changer for us in our portraits. Mm-hmm. So, ends this weekend, so Sunday night. Well, no, yeah. If you want the free 1 hour, here's the cool thing is right now with the IPAC, the first 100 will get this price, and I know this for a fact. We had to talk the other members, owners of the IPAC. They were willing to do $200 off the membership to fit the business models. And I told them that the hardest part of the IPAC as a photographer and telling the story about it is going to be that first initial getting photographers to join. We've got to get to 100. Once we get to 100, then word of mouth will start to take over. And once these, and here's the thing, that as soon as it's announced, which will be in the next week, that MPI, that's one of the biggest print competitions internationally, they're about to announce to their print deadline is tomorrow. Then we're going to announce the IPAC as a sponsor. Once that happens, and then their print competition comes to an end, and then Wyoming's happens, and then we talk about it in Shutterfest, and then for sure Texas School. Those 100 we feel founding members will be gone. So there will be some extra little benefits of becoming a member if you're a founding member, one of those first 100. And we're working with the other owners of the IPAC to do something special for those first 100 members. So, and I think I'm confident that those first 100 will be done by the end of Texas School. There won't be any more of those available. But anybody through our class, you will get that 1 hour of one-on-one with me.
I just put it in the hall.
Okay. If not, I have to finish getting this. I need to edit one image, and I got to get this image submitted. I got to change the studio. We got to shoot at 3. Busy day.
Okay, I just
Magic Makers. Are you muted?
This is why I like to do Zoom from home when he's doing Zoom from here, because I get tired of muting and unmuting. I just put in the code for the IPAC discount. I put that in the chat. So it's Road to Magic all together. Anything else, Christopher?
That's all I got. I'm muted now. That's all I got, unless anybody else has a question.
Anybody else have any questions? If not,
I got to do a speed edit on a fine art image. So, okay, I think we will wind it down. We will put this out there. We'll probably run some other special on something. I've got an idea on a couple of things, for.
You do Adobe instead of sRG?
No, I'm gonna fix it, but I'm gonna save it first and then fix it. So I don't know why it's doing that. So it's supposed to be RGB. sRGB, then I'll save it here.
If anyone has any questions about InView, feel free to reach out to me. I can try to answer any questions about that or hook you up with someone that can help you with that. But it's been really good. I mean, there's some things that I would like for them to add to it, but I know they're working on rebuilding some of it. So I'm hoping there's good things to come in the future of that. So anyway, it's a good part of our sales process. So if you have any questions with that, just let me know. And I guess you have anything else to say?
I don't. That's it.
Okay. He always has something to say.
Nope. That's it. Nothing else. Let me just check the chat. Yep. Perfect. So I saw Kathy says she didn't know about those features. That's awesome. The code is there. Lori has that. Okay. I think that's it. Feel free to message me if you're confused or anything on anything we've covered. Shoot me a message and I can get back to you. We'll be tied up for the next 2 or 3 hours, but after that, I should be able to reply.
And our next session is going to be Saturday, April the 13th. That's going to be on marketing. Jeff Poole will be with us that day. And we're going to talk about everything marketing.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.